Hey, hello there, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. I, of course, am Mr. Warren Hayes, and this is my podcast, which is about pro wrestling, professional wrestling. That's what we're going to talk about for the next couple of hours right here on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes or on your favorite podcast application. We are recording this on November 21st. You're probably listening to this after because I record these live. So, of course, you're not listening to this live right now. This is later in time. I record this in front of a live chat, the whole shebang on Tuesday nights, every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. But I say but it's not going to be the case. Next week, programming note, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show will not be recorded on Tuesday. It will probably be recorded, I would say, either Sunday evening or Monday evening. I'm not quite sure yet. So the release of the podcast will be earlier as well. It will either be on Monday or Tuesday. So a little change in scenery, a little different here, just because it's nothing dramatic. I just have something, a little personal stuff that I have to take care of, and it's good things, it's positive, it's fun, but it means that I just have to move the podcast around for next week. So make sure to make a note of it. No podcast released on Wednesday, will be released either on Monday or next Tuesday. So, but I'll be here, and I'll be here to review SummerStream, WWE Survivor Series, and whatever else happens in the wild world of professional wrestling in the meantime. But listen, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, a like would be appreciated. 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, 5-star ratings on Spotify also help out tremendously. You can join the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord. The link is in the description. You can also follow me on Blue Sky at Mr. Warren Hayes. You'll be able to find me there and all the different musings that I have hanging around those parts. But as it stands for today, well, this is what we have in store. Just two topics. An AEW Full Gear 2023 review. And we go through some of the shenanigans and discussions around AEW as well. Like, you know, it's a sort of a grab bag of all the hot AEW topics right now. So it takes up the majority of the show. Plus a little preview of Survivor Series this weekend. So there you go. That's what we got on the docket. It's on the run sheet. We're ready to go. Let's get to it. It's time for the weekly wrestling inspection. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start things right off with my review of AEW Full Gear 2023. Big pay-per-view show that happened earlier this week in fact, on November 18, 2023 at the Kia Forum, the fabulous Kia Forum in Los Angeles, California. We can go over the business aspects of it and chat about it a little bit here, but we've got 12,904 tickets distributed according to WrestleTix, just shy of 13,000. That's very good actually for AEW, and they have to be very happy about that. I know Tony Khan at the Scrum said that they were over 13,000. Has Tony Khan started, counting everyone with a pulse? Well, wouldn't be the first thing they started to lift off of WWE, but not just yet, Warren. Hang on. Don't start. Pump the brakes for a second here, Pally. So this is the thing, right? Is like you've got this is a very good attendance number for AEW, outside of Wembley, of course, which is the outlier. This has been a tremendous show. Great, and as far as attendance goes, great attendance actually. We were past couple of pay-per-views, had trouble scraping up to 10,000. So this is very good. And again, like I said, they have to be happy about the results. They have to be happy about the number of people that were there. And Tony Khan at the press conference scrum thing post show said that AEW Full Gear did well over 100,000 pay-per-view buys and was trending over Wrestle Dream, which is good. And again, great. And again, the kind of number that I'm sure they're very happy of as they're transitioning into the monthly pay-per-view cycle as they try to make more money. What was I telling you guys, gals, and non-binary pals a few months ago when, Wrestle Dream was announced and then people started quaking in their boots and saying, oh, I won't have the money to buy pay-per-view every month. Well, no, no one expects you to buy them every month, but we are expected that there will be, it is to be expected that some people will buy frequently, if not every month. And these will translate into more buys for the company, right? Within 3 months, right? We did like 200,000 buys for All In. We did around, what was it like, or just around 100,000 for All Out. And I think we were shy of 100,000 for Wrestle Dream, right? Like something like 90,000 or something like that. So, let's say we're close to 400,000 buys over a 2-month period, I guess, August, September, October, right? Well, bear with me here. That's a lot more buys if they had just stuck to the typical rigmarole, right? To the one pay-per-view a month cycle. And now look, we're doing another 100,000 here. The plan was always more pay-per-views, more people buying, more money, right? And of course, more expenses, don't get me wrong, but that's still the idea, more revenue coming in. That's still the principal idea here. So, I'm sorry to say, folks, maybe the pay-per-views aren't doing 130,000 a pop, but if they were doing 130,000 a pop, 135 a pop every quarter, as opposed to having, an average of 100,000 pay-per-views 3 times a quarter, who's winning here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, look, I understand that, I understand that All Out, again, is the, All In, is the outlier here with the Wembley thing. But if you consider that All In was about 100,000, if you consider that Wrestle Dream was just short of, and this one here is trending over 100,000, are we talking about 300,000 buys within 3 months? That's instantly more than what they were making. Yes, there's more expenses because it's a broadcast, so on and so forth, and and not all the $60 goes into or the $50, whatever the fuck it costs. I buy it, but I use my VPN. Just saying. But whatever the full price is, the carriage fees for it once this is all split, and I think it's a 50-50 split, right? So it's not like the entire money is going into Tony Khan's pocket, into AEW's pocket. It's going after fees and whatnot. There's whatever residuals, they're still substantial. It's still more than what they were making. I love how people think that AEW just decided to swing into this without and assuming they didn't know what that they were doing, right? Not as if they had, economists and and analysts hired working for the company that work out these numbers, that crunch these scenarios, that come up with these possibilities and model what could happen, right? And Tony Khan is a numbers guy. We know this as well. So of course he's certainly very hungry at the idea of having. He's certainly very hungry at the idea of data, right? This was a calculated maneuver, and one that just had to be expected, because every wrestling promotion that ever had television did that thing, And I was listening to the Flagship last week, and I think it was Rich was talking about it, and he's absolutely right. People lost their mind when Eric Bischoff said, "We're gonna go to a monthly schedule for our pay-per-views." Everyone was like, "You're gonna fucking ruin the business, and you're gonna ruin your business. It's not gonna be profitable. It's not gonna make money." It was so profitable that even Vince decided to do that and brought in the in your house concept, right? That's where it's from. It's where Vince is like, "Well, we got to do something, but I don't want to devalue my big pay-per-views." So he created like the in your house thing for the B tier pay-per-views. It's an in your house. It's not SummerSlam. It's not Survivor Series. It's not Royal Rumble. It's not WrestleMania. It's a lesser one plus a discounted price because it's a B show. You're eating a B show right now. You're not getting the full meal. You're getting an appetizer, right? You're getting or maybe in some circumstances a hefty dessert, or maybe a good solid breakfast. Not the full, like maybe like the full American breakfast, maybe an English breakfast. In your house, English breakfast. So as it stands, I think from a strict business standpoint, I believe this was successful for them. And if the pay-per-view numbers are indeed trending upward, and we're pushing through 100,000 pay-per-view buys, well, it would indicate, at least to me, that AEW is not in as much trouble as some people like to pretend. But I mean, this has been the story of the promotion since it opened, right? That it was going to shut down in 6 months and whatnot. But despite ratings being, TV ratings being, especially when it comes to Collision, in relations to attendance, especially attendance has been, miserable. This is something we cover regularly on the review shows, on the Dynamite and Collision reviews. We talk about attendance to AEW shows on every review, and it's miserable. You cannot say that in general that it's going well. It's not. So the big pay-per-view and starting to be a name pay-per-view at the same time for AEW, as opposed to World's End or Full Gear or Wrestle Dream, where people are like, "What the fuck is this?" Full Gear means something. There you go. We're skirting close to 13,000 according to WrestleTix. According to Tony Khan, we're over 13,000. As for the show itself, ooh, Nelly, we've got ourselves some stuff to talk about, don't we? Okay, out of the gate here, my basic thought. I thought this was a good wrestling show. Was it great? No. Was it one of AEW's best? No. Was it one of its worst? No. I think a lot of the discussion that is coming out of this pay-per-view is that I think it feels substantially like the first AEW pay-per-view that is embracing the new vision that when I say we, I mean Tony Khan has for All Elite Wrestling. Now, I don't want to like just splurge into things and just like, I think the best way to approach it, I think the best way to sort of start picking at this and break things down is to start by talking about the main event. I know usually I start from bottom up, but don't bury the lead, as they say in journalism school, right? Don't bury the lead. Well, we know what the lead here is. So we might as well start by talking about the main event. And again, and I want to underscore this very, very clearly. I did not hate this show. And I thought it was a good wrestling show. I enjoyed myself overall. But what the glaring problems that we have with this show are creative and are limited to a couple of endeavors, but which are taking up a lot of real estate on the show on a regular basis and took up a lot of fucking real estate on this pay-per-view as well. And this is why, I dropped some thoughts on Blue Sky and whatnot. And by the way, if you want Blue Sky codes, join the MrWarrenHayes Discord. I'm starting to get more and more of those, and I start dropping them randomly. So if you ever want to, cross the bouncers, you want to be on the guest list, let me know. So that's it. Is that the thing is that there's a lot of stuff taking up a lot of space, a lot of real estate on the show that I think a lot of folks are in agreement is contrary to what we've come to expect from AEW. And these expectations, as I will outline as we go along here, these expectations are not fabricated, created out of a fantasy in the minds of freakazoids and myself and other pro wrestling fans. These are expectations that were created by AEW themselves, by Tony Khan, by Cody Rhodes, by anyone who had a microphone, in that period of 2018, 2019, when they were doing the grassroots get-togethers, the press conferences, and all that stuff. These expectations come from that time when they were literally on the campaign trail trying to win over the lapsed fan. The fan, or maybe lapsed fan might be to a degree, but the fan who grew tired of Vince McMahon's vision of pro wrestling that had been dominant for 2 decades. We were ready for something new, for something different. And this is how we got invested. This is why we got into it. And the product, the AEW product, as far as its main program goes, its main title program, feels to be diverging from that promise. And I think it is alarming for wrestling fans. And I think it is, if not alarming, worrisome, right? I think it's fair if you don't want to, I can understand you don't want to be like, you don't want to jump on your horse and be like Paul Revere, clanging your bell saying, the sports entertainers are coming. I know you might not want to come across as one of those. I come across as one of those. What do you want from me? Despite the fact that I feel I'm pretty nuanced. At the very least, I think it's okay to be worried. You're just like looking at this and like, I don't like this direction at all. And there's some things happening that should make you feel uneasy if you bought into AEW as promised, as an alternative, a challenger, something different than what we were getting over at Vince House of Muscle Men. So, as I said, before I went on to this preamble, this abstract of my presentation, gentlemen, I suddenly feel like I have a suit on. It's like, So this was the abstract. Now let's get into the detail. Let's start with the world title match. I don't see a better way to kick this off here. MJF defeated Jay White to retain and regain, like, physically the AEW world title. So, again, I'm going to break this down bit by bit. I already know that, look, there's tons that's been written and fantastic articles over from over at voicesofwrestling.com, especially from Tyler and Fred and a whole bunch of people wrote some outstanding articles. And I want to break this down bit by bit here, okay? And I think the best place to start is with the match and how I felt about it, and this is how I feel about it. It's derivative, okay? It's things that we've all seen before. It's the the hokiest of pro wrestling stories that have been done and overdone multiple times in multiple promotions by multiple people. If this is the first time you're seeing this, of course you're sitting there with your hands on your head and you're going, this is genius. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, man. So even before we get into let's break down the whole evening of MJF-isms, okay? MJF does the tag match in the tag match in the pre-show, the buy-in with Samoa Joe, who he didn't want to tag him in. Now, listen, I'm just going to point this out because it's going to be salient for another point later. But I don't understand why he would not have wanted to tag him in if he accepted him as a partner. Like, this is not a can they get along situation. This is it's an alliance by convenience. Joe wants to make sure that he gets a shot at the title, so he wants to help MJF win. If anything, MJF should be patting him on the back. Get your ass in there, Samoan Joseph, and win me this match. Because that's how you're going to guarantee a shot at my belt if I win later on. But do your part. Like, the fact that he doesn't want to tag Samoa Joe in, I don't understand why that happened. That just okay. But let's just put that away for now. I don't want it. This is far from the thing I want to zero in on, but still, I think I just want to point it out. And then, of course, the very WWE-like finish, and you're going to be hearing a lot of that tonight, WWE-like, where Adam Cole comes out, his music hits, and then the heels, like fucking crows attracted to a shiny object, just drop everything, and they're like, and then Joe chokes out whoever the fuck, Colton, it doesn't matter. And he chokes him out, and that's it. So, we get, don't get me wrong, Adam Cole coming out, I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But Adam Cole's music, his theme coming out to distract the heels so that the baby faces can win is kind of weird. And it's the Guns. It's the Guns. It's not fucking FTR. It's not, the Briscoes. Where you have to, God bless Jay, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not the Hart Foundation. It's not the Midnight Express. It's the fucking Guns. Who cares? Why do we feel like the Guns that we need, that the baby faces, or at least MJF's team and temporary babyface, local babyface Samoa Joe, why do we feel that they need a distraction to get the win over the jabrones of the Bullet Club Gold, right? They're the J-Brones. Why did we fuck, Joe could have had, eaten both of those guys alive. What are we doing here? Anyway, after the match, Samoa Joe, like, he hits the bricks. And then the Bullet Club Gold, the Guns, they work over MJF's leg, crack a chair over the knee, and then Pillmanize the ankle. Pillmanizing, we should underscore, is still, to this day, one of the most egregious things you can do in professional wrestling to another wrestler. Right? Like, that's the thing that you can't get up off. You can't get up from unscathed. It's like it's uber protected, right? Doesn't that make, it makes a lot of sense, right? And you do the stretcher job. Like, the minute that I see the Pillmanizing, I'm like, okay, I see where this is going. They get the stretcher job doing, and they pack him into the ambulance, and Adam Cole is there, and MJF cries out to him as they send the ambulance away, "Don't let them take my title, Adam." And Adam Cole is standing there conflicted, right? So this is all happening before the show. Now, I want to point something out before we move forward, because I think there's a lot of what's being lost. There's a lot of disdain, dislike. I'm telling you guys, I'm being super fucking nuanced here, and I believe every word I'm saying on top of that. I think there's a lot of hatred and disdain that's being thrown at this because of the level of saturation that a lot of my peers, my contemporaries have in regards to the MJF stuff. Where it's like, this is fucking bullshit. It's bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. I counter with this. Why not run an angle on your pre-show that carries into your main show that maybe people will be like, maybe I should buy a ticket, right? Kind of like what we were thinking would happen at the pre-show of, was it Wrestle Dream or was it, I think it was Wrestle Dream, right? Where we thought that the one where MJF was fighting both guys all by himself. The Righteous, right? We all thought something was going to happen and Adam might get involved, or the devil, and that would carry into the main show. Objectively speaking, okay? Excluding whatever you feel about the overall brochacho experience, it's a fucking good idea, and I think we should get more of this. More Sunday Night Heat. Right? You remember Sunday Night Heat before a pay-per-view was always live and always had something happen on it that would have some kind of impact on the show. It's a fucking pre-show that's offered up for free, that's supposed to give you who have not purchased the ticket yet, who have not purchased the pay-per-view on Fight or Bleacher or whoever the fuck. However this is supposed to entice you. It's supposed to give you a taste of what's to come. So and you're like, yeah, you know what? This has got me. I'm hooked. I'm intrigued. I want to see where this goes. So I think we're not entirely fair in regards to the angle. Now, how it played out and how it exists within the context of the brochacho experience, I can understand why where people's fuses are a lot shorter and they explode much quicker. I get it. I'm down with it. Okay? But I still think it's a great strategy. What do you want from me? Do you hear my dog? My dog is fine, by the way. And he's, my son is here with some friends and they're goofing off. So my dog is fine. And if it didn't come out in the audio, well, you're like, oh, old man Hayes is hearing things again. So Max has carted off. And if you've watched pro wrestling for, an amount of time, unless you've started 2 weeks ago, or even maybe even a year ago, or you don't know what's happening next. But for the rest of us, we all know what's going on here. We all know what's coming up next. And it happens beat for beat. It happens exactly how everyone envisioned it. As far as Max coming back. We have a little interlude in the meantime before we get back to the main event. We have a little interlude We're at the top of the ramp. We've got Tony Schiavone, and he's with Bryce Remsburg, and they're holding the AEW World Championship. And there's a solemn tone to the proceedings here. They invite Jay White out because Tony is about to announce that since MJF cannot compete, Jay White by default becomes the new AEW World Heavyweight Champion. That's just how it goes, you know. So, you know, we're about to announce that, but then Adam Cole comes out, and then he comes out and he says, "Look, I talked it over with Tony Khan, and Tony Khan said that I could defend the title, you know, in Max's absence. You know, the Freebird rules for the world title, folks. Let's remember this. This is something this is a milestone. Put a pin in this. Eventually we will have to revisit this moment in AEW history, right? So he comes out and he says, I can do it despite the fact, you know, that I'm just fresh out of injury, or what the fuck, you know. Hey Lucas, ça va bien? Nice to see you. Welcome et bonne nuit à toi. So he's sitting, you know, he's watching, you know, so you know, and Jay White is like, haha, what a joke, you know, and we're all sitting there going, haha, what a joke. But we'll break this down in a second here, okay? Bear with me. And then we get to the main event. Adam Cole comes out, and he hasn't changed. Like, he came out, you know, with his depression beard and his t-shirt and, you know, his khakis and his New Balances, whatever the fuck he was wearing. And he's average Joe, Adam Cole, and he's crutching his way to the ring. And we're all going, this is stupid. What's going to happen? Oh, we know what's going to happen. MJF is going to drive the ambulance back, and he's going to hobble his way to the ring, right? So that's exactly what happens. He drives the ambulance back. By the way, they pipe in ambulance sirens into the PA of the arena. By the way. And you know, eventually, you know, MJF gets out of the ambulance, and he's walking down the ramp, and then there's like a dozen people that come out to try and stop him. Why? Who cares? This is, I don't understand anything. Everything here was predictable and derivative, right? It's all things we've seen before, and I still don't understand. And this great story that we're telling, right, is getting it. You know what it fired up in me? You know what it ignited in me? You know what it you know, took the spark to flame. It brought back my WWE nitpicking reflexes. Because as we recall, in WarrenHayes lore, for many years, for a while anyway, I haven't been doing this for that long. I have been, you know, I was over on the Fightful, doing reviews and whatnot, and you know, one of the things that I would do gleefully is point out issues with their storytelling. These professional storytellers, we tell stories, pal. These professional storytellers, nonetheless, would end up giving us stories that were just full of weird decisions and contradictions and things that just didn't make sense. So look, here's where we're at here. We're telling this tremendous, great story. Okay, bring it on, but allow me to retort. Why did they let Adam Cole wrestle on this show if he hasn't been cleared for weeks? Why suddenly Tony Khan goes, sure, Adam, that I have kept off regular programming and any physical confrontations because of your injury. Yes, please enter the ring while you are still clearly injured and recovering from surgery or waiting for surgery. I don't even know anymore. That doesn't make sense. And then why then prevent MJF from fulfilling his original duty? Like this, Adam Cole was plan B. And Adam Cole clearly much worse injured than MJF. If anything, there should have been an official coming out to say, yeah, this isn't the greatest situation, but, all things considered, MJF is less injured. So if we want to approve this, we can go for it. And what does Doc Samson have to say about this? Where's the, Tony Khan is okaying things right and left, like he's, just like he's Santa with the good and bad list, just going good, bad, good, 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 bad. He doesn't give a shit. He's just like good and bad, naughty and nice. That's what I was looking for. And so why is all of this happening? If this story is so airtight and good and compelling, oh, you're overthinking it. Well, you're telling stories. I'm not an idiot, so all my stories just make sense. Right? I can't be alone in this. I know I'm not. So you see, this is where I'm at right now. I'm like, oh, well, why didn't they do this? When didn't they do that? How many times have you heard me talk that way, break things down in that fashion, reviewing anything that AEW had been doing? But this is where we're at now. This is the plot of land that they are claiming. So I'm going to go inspect it in that manner. So we get the main event, of course, and Max wrestles. And now here's my take about the match. Are you ready for this? I thought the main event was well worked, and I think this is a consensus. This is not like this great hot take. I passed it off as being like this extraordinary hot take when I said, are you ready for this? I'm sorry, I apologize. My take on the main event is pretty milquetoast because everyone kind of feels the same way. The work, you can't poo-poo the work. It's fine. I don't want to say it's extraordinary. It did the job. The shenanigans weighed it down, kept us from getting into a real kind of vibe here, It just, the show wasn't able to reach any heights, is what I'm trying to say. Not the show, the main event, because of the fucking nonsense, right? Hey, Zach McGibbon, nice to see you. Thank you for putting your money where your fucking mouth is and being here tonight. It's good to see you. Welcome. So the main event, as I said, well worked. Shenanigans brought it down tremendously, but there were some good moments. Like I said, there's work here that I liked. The commentary table spot, okay? Hilarious as it was, karmatic to a degree, where it collapses as Max puts Jay White on the table, right? You could not but kind of snicker malevolently at that. You're like, but kudos to Max, who was like, I'm still gonna do the fucking spot. That's a pro. And the spot and the way he did it was umpteen times more dangerous. But this is the wrestler that I know. This is the Max Friedman that I know, who is great at what he does and who's a student of the game and who understands how to put a fucking match together. He can, thank you for the super chat, DGMC. We'll get to that in a second. Generous super chat. I appreciate it a great deal. I lost my train of thought for a second. So this is the MJF, like, who knows how to put on a match, who is excited about doing things, right? And he's coming in and he does this spot and he hurts himself, right? It came out today or yesterday that MJF suffered like a hip injury in the match. Like, no fucking kidding. Flew off the top rope onto the floor, like no collapsing table to cushion the fall. Respect. Be careful, Max, but respect. And then the cutter spot off the apron was great. And then, like I said, like this is what I look at MJF, and he's smooth and he's good. And what's infuriating is that I look at the rest and then I ask myself, why does he feel compelled to focus on the rest? Why does he feel like he needs to do everything else when he's so good at this shit? He is a student of the game. He's a tape watcher. He's one of us. Even though he likes to put on airs, he's one of us. He's not fucking Hulk Hogan, because Hulk Hogan chose to not work. He chose to just be all giggles and shits and giggles and smoke and mirrors and do a leg drop to win, to beat his opponent, right? That was his thing. Max is a better wrestler than Hulk Hogan ever was. He doesn't need to do this bullshit. Anyway. I can't fault the work here. It was fine. And I can't fault Jay White either. Hey, go indie now. Holy shit. Excuse me for a second. Nice to see you. It has been a while. Welcome back to the chat. Very nice to see you, friend. So I can't fault Jay White either, because he's doing his damnness to just not dissipate into the background. You know, he's staying relevant. He's working hard. And throughout this entire program, Jay White has been spectacular. He's been spot on great. Like nothing short than great. Nothing shorter than great. You know, I'll get my idioms correct. But we know this. We've seen Jay White grow in New Japan. So we know how good he can be. And I thought he had true opportunities to shine here. And we've pointed it out in the reviews and whatnot. There's weeks that Jay White was just outclassed Max as far as promos go. And he kept the shit show on rails. He made it about the title, made it feel important. That title, the way it was being held by Jay White as he stole it and make sure he did everything he could to keep Max from stealing it back, made the fucking thing feel important. Much more important than the champion did. And he brought the legwork, right? But this wasn't his 2021 match with Hiroshi Tanahashi, right? Where he had him the TTO match, right? Where he debuted the Tanahashi taps out the TTO anyway. It was fine, but you know, it wasn't like blowing away everything. And then look, let me try to. You hear talk, you know, that AEW is saying that the Brochacho story is their bloodline, right? Well, they ain't kidding, you know, because the structure of their main events are eerily similar between Roman Reigns and MJF. It's the bloodline in structure, but without the improved business metrics, is what it is. And outside the WWE-like stuff, you know, all these things here, we just have to come to grips with the very important thing here is that, and again, very close to the bloodline, and another close comparison you can make to the bloodline is that this story isn't very good. We tell stories, but it's not a good story. It's stagnating. It's running in place. Those of you who've been around here for a long while, or who were listening to me back in the days over at Fightful, will recall when I completely aped Alex Pulowski's visualization of how WWE tells a story. Usually you tell a story, you go from point A, you start at point A, and then at point B, there's something that happens, which takes you to point C, and something that happens there that takes you to point D, and so on and so forth. Well, this story, ever since the devil popped up, has been from point A to point B, to point B, to point B. You think it's advancing. They're giving you the impression that the story is progressing because it's giving you these little sidebar distractions. You know, Adam Cole mowing Roderick Strong's lawn and all this bullshit. Who cares, you know? But we're still in the exact same place that we were when MJF and Adam Cole challenged for the tag team titles and lost. And in a very good match, lest we forget. So we're still there. We're still just hanging on. Nothing has advanced. Nothing has progressed. We are at the exact same spot we've been for months. People were expecting things to happen at Wembley. Nothing happened. People were thinking there was stuff was going to happen at Wrestle Dream. Nothing happened. Same thing tonight. Or I should say Sunday night, Saturday night. Fuck. I'll get my night straight. It's stagnating. It's been running in place. And it's falling prey to stupid retcons and inconsistencies. Like when the Devil attacked the Acclaim, you know, a lot of people pointed this out and they were right to point it out. That Excalibur suddenly said, everyone who has ever tried to help MJF gets attacked by the Devil. Who else outside of the Acclaim was attacked by the Devil? As far as I know, as I remember, and I watch the fucking shows every week, the Devil attacked people twice. Or the Devil and his putties twice. Attacked Jay White, who was not trying to help MJF, and then the Acclaimed. So we're doing the WWE thing where we just retcon shit. It doesn't matter what happened a couple of weeks ago. Whatever we're saying now is what matters. This is the new reality moving forward. These are very, very WWE-esque tropes, folks. So the thing here is that if you're trying to tell stories, tell them well. But they're telling them just as bad as WWE does, because look at what I'm doing here. I'm sitting down and I'm picking shit apart. And this is a criticism that we have about WWE. WWE said, we tell stories, pal, but the stories are never good. The stories are not good. Not never. They're not good. I honestly don't know why they're trying to win over WWE fans. AEW, right? I don't know why they're trying, because it's the only explanation, right? Right, chat, this can be the only explanation. That they're trying to win over fans of sports entertainment by doing sports entertainment, right? But the thing that I don't understand is that the WWE fans will never come over. They'll never come over to the AEW side because WWE fans currently have the perception that AEW is minor league, first and foremost. And second of all, if AEW continues to push and try to do sports entertainment, WWE fans are going to be like, no, this is a cheap imitation. This is a low-class imitation of what we do here, better, and they're not wrong. You know, 4 decades of doing this shit. Hopefully you do get good at it, you know. But that's what they'll see. WWE fans will never cross over because there's battle lines, there's camps outside of the Punk camp. No, but there's camps. Like you're encouraged to pick a side. And everyone is so fucking territorial. This is not going to happen. Look at Collision this past Friday. It got trashed in the ratings. It went head to head with SmackDown. Why didn't WWE fans decide to go check out Collision? Well, you know why. you know, WWE fans will always pick WWE before anything else. And this is not a knock. It's not a knock. It's a reality. It's a thing. And it makes sense. You know, it just makes sense. Now, I feel like I have a much higher tolerance to nonsense in pro wrestling than a lot of my contemporaries do. Don't get me wrong. The brochacho stuff stinks, okay? It's terrible. The vignettes, yeah, let me nuance this a little more. The vignettes, terrible. They stink. It's bad. It's bad, 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 bad. But I'm on record for this. I've said this multiple times on the Dynamite Review. Whenever MJF and Adam Cole do things or did things in front of the crowd, inside the ring, whether it's wrestling, whether it's talking, whether it's interviews, whatever it is, back and forth promos, whatever it is, it's always better. It was always systematically better. The brochacho vignettes, trash. But the minute you put these guys in front of a live crowd, in front of a live mic, everything made sense. Everything worked. I've said it. Drop the vignettes. Just keep doing what you're doing in the ring. Then they added Roderick Strong in this, and then it becomes something else, right? So I feel like overall I can stomach more than, again, a lot of my contemporaries who might be a little more Puritan in that regard, which is fine too. Don't get me wrong. Again, not a knock, an observation. But the problem that I have is when the nonsense seeps into matches, like we had at Fishing for Paul White. That's a very good one. That's one where I was Captain Insano. Excuse me. Thank you, chat, for the little sidebar. But when you start getting the nonsense involved into matches, that's when you start losing me. If you want to do angles, post-match, pre-match, just let the match happen, right? But all of the shit that happened in the ring and before and after, it's so heavy-handed. No subtlety, no finesse. It's just wham, bam, right in the face all the time, and it impedes the flow of a match. So the interference that happened, the ref bump, which is starting to become a staple. Look, would I tell you, why would I sit here over the past few months watching WWE PLEs, coming back to this little podcast thingy that I have, review it and tell you the main event stunk. I hated the main event because it's always the same fucking structure. Then there's the ref bump, and then there's another ref bump, and then, Solo Sikoa gets involved, or Jey Uso gets involved. It's always the same fucking thing. How can I sit here with a straight face and tell you that on one side, and then see it happening on the other side, and give you a completely different response? I couldn't. I can't. I couldn't do that. I can't. Because it's the same thing. It's essentially... MJF matches now are essentially the same pattern as Roman Reigns matches. MJF last week did a YouTube video with Dr. Bo Hightower, right? He's this very affable alpha male-like chiropractor, right? Well, alpha male, like he's got the big beard, and he's takes care of himself, and as opposed to me, just a complete slovenly mess. And Max did this video, and he, look, I'm gonna read verbatim what he said, okay? Max, I hope you're listening. I think the biggest issue, this is Max speaking here. I think the biggest issue with professional wrestling now, and I've stated it multiple times, is people are so overly consumed with what's going on bell to bell, at least the hardcore audiences. But the fact of the matter is, Twitter, for example, makes up such a small percentage of the audience. So, for example, The Acclaimed is one of the biggest, hottest acts that we have. They drop huge merch 24/7 all the time. If you, excuse me, if you go on Twitter a couple of months ago, they're like, the Acclaimed is the best tag team in the world. The Acclaimed this, the Acclaimed that. If you go on Twitter now, let's say for a hypothetical, it's like, man, I don't get the Acclaimed. I wish they'd have more bangers. People that are watching at home don't give a fuck. Normal human beings don't give a fuck. They're invested in the human. They're invested in the human fuck that the human fucks that are in the ring. They're not necessarily invested in the moves that are happening inside the squared circle. And I mean it. I hope you're listening, Max, because this kind of breaks my heart. This kind of breaks my heart. And because look, first of all, the one thing that I'm in complete agreement with is the small Twitter sample, right? Very loud, very small sample. That we're in agreement with. I've heard this argument before. And it always seems to boil down to this one thing that is mutually exclusive, right? You're either a great wrestler or you're a great character. And apparently both are mutually exclusive, right? I don't know what that's about, you know? And I think both are possible. But there's somehow this argument always comes up. Here's something to consider, right? Pro wrestling, this is the thing I want to consider, right? Because again, MJF he's talking about, normal people as opposed to us weirdo hardcores, right? Why are we always trying to, what do pro wrestlers and promoters have against wrestling fans? Who are these normal people? I have a job. I wake up in the morning. I go to work, do my thing. I have a family. I walk my dog, make dinner, have some chuckles. I like, going to the movies, whatever. I don't feel obtuse. I don't feel weird. And here, why is it why am I not coveted? And not because I want to feel like a special princess. That's not the thing. But why is it that eventually it seems promoters turn on their audiences? What is it that is so undesirable that pro wrestling fans have, that it's like at some point, no, we want the normies. I don't understand it. And I think, I'd be, like I said, it breaks my heart that MJF is bringing this up, because I know MJF knows better, and he is a hardcore, and you could not have more hardcore than him. He's a tape watcher. He references all the classics, all the greats. He's smart. He's great. He's great because he understands pro wrestling, the history, the people who made it up. And here's something else I want you to consider. This is again, it's like, consider the humans in the ring, not the move by move. Some people, aren't concerned with what happens in the ring, move for move, belt to belt. I'm like, and it's something I want you to consider here. And this is an argument, again, that I used to pull out in the day, that I haven't pulled out in such a long time. Ever since I stopped watching WWE on a weekly basis, I haven't pulled this argument out. Pro wrestling is the only form of entertainment that I know of where fans don't want to watch what they're tuning in to watch. They want to watch everything else except what they want to watch, which is pro wrestling. I promise you, okay, if I want to watch a high-level drama or a comedy, my first reflex is never, well, then I'll watch some pro wrestling, right? If I want drama, I'll watch The Bear. I'll watch Succession. If I want comedy, I'll flip on some Tim and Eric. I'll find some fucking stand-up, whatever. Call me crazy cuckoo. But when I watch pro wrestling, I want to watch pro wrestling. I want to watch predetermined fights with feats of athleticism by athletes, people, pro wrestlers, making me believe that this match is real, that it has entertainment value. Watch them take me through the emotions, through the story of a fight from bell to bell. And again, if I want to watch pro wrestling, I'm not going to tune into The Bear. Yes, there's inevitably drama and comedy in how wrestling matches are executed. That's inevitable because the basic principles of all human storytelling boil down to two things: tragedy and comedy, right? I mean, these are fundamental principles. But if you strip away the matches, right? If you strip away the matches, the drama that happens in the ring, and I'm not talking about, can I write down every fucking move that happened? This is an alligator lock. This is, what, an alligator lock? No one does alligator locks. Where the fuck did that pop into me? This is a 450 splash. This is a corkscrew tornillo, whatever this is a Norihara moonsault. Yes, I know the names, but I'm not going crazy because I'm able to tell the difference between a Fosbury flop and a flying tiger space jump, suplex, whatever the fuck, dive. It's pro wrestling. It is possible to bring this across. It is possible to make this happen, to have the entertainment value, right? And I swear pro wrestling is the only form of entertainment where people tune in to watch but want to see anything or are okay watching anything else but the pro wrestling. Look, I know this exists because when I was still active on X, formerly Twitter, I remember one time, I was talking about fucking a main event ending with a main event of a Raw, ending with a promo, and I tweeted it out, and some guy responded to me in earnest saying, well, I kind of like this because if it ended every week in wrestling, it would get boring. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why are you watching wrestling then? If you don't like the wrestling, if the wrestling gets boring, why are you even watching it in the first place? I promise you, it's we consume the only medium of entertainment where everything else has to be inside of it. Who watches all the light we cannot see and criticize it by saying, you know what, there's not enough anime in this. I wish it wasn't always this dramatic. Why aren't there more clowns? Why can't Hannibal Buress, pop out behind Logan Roy in an episode of Succession and just give us his tight five? Yeah, am I making sense or am I speaking Greek? I feel like I'm making sense. Because fundamentally, I don't understand why we rely on the accoutrements as opposed to the fucking reason why we're watching it in the first place. Any story in pro wrestling without the wrestling is subpar to 95% of the stories happening on actual dramas and comedies. Who would want to watch the brochachos if there weren't wrestling matches involved. Like, who would greenlight this show? The Brochacho Hour, the Brochacho Hour featuring Maxwell Jacob Friedman and Adam Cole. Who the fuck would watch that? Anyway, as I said, the Brochacho story has not progressed. We're at the exact same spot since the summer, waiting for shit to happen. Geeks. Chat, you're great. There's been sidebars, teases, but nothing's been advancing. There's been no key moments in here. This is literally the bloodline. They're not wrong. This is literally the bloodline. It is the bloodline. It's a story that rehashes itself over and over again. With Roman, it was like, who does he not trust this week? Or this pay-per-view cycle, PLE cycle, excuse me. Because that was always, it was always the same story. He doesn't trust X, so X has to prove themselves to him in some way or whatever the fuck. And MJF are besties, but people are trying to split them apart. And that's been the thing. The idea that so many guys were coming after MJF at once for the title was such a fucking good angle, where he was behest. The siege, he was being sieged from all sides by, different tribes. You've got the Samoans on one side, you've got the Wardlows on the other. Then you've got the Bullet Club over here, He's being assaulted from all sides. That's good. That's compelling. Talked about it on the Dynamite review. It's good because it also helps elevate the title. Because then it's like, look at all these people coming for the world title. The world title really does feel important, doesn't it? Yes, it does. I like a certain amount of nonsense. Like I said, there's stuff that I feel like I can stomach more than a lot of my peers, but the goofy, entertaining spots should never come to the expense of a match. That's my fundamental basis here. They can enhance moments, like singing Pennies from Heaven, right? I had a kick out of that, and he was fucking good at it too. It wasn't forced. It wasn't half-assed. He was really good. But it's different when it infiltrates matches and distracts from the reason I'm watching, which is a fucking pro wrestling match. So yes, I'm involved in what happens bell to bell because the drama should happen in a bell to bell match. It should happen through feats of athleticism and simulated combat. That's what I'm tuning in for. If I want drama, I'll go watch something else. Just like if I want drama, I'm not going to watch pro wrestling. I'll watch The Bear. The Bear, by the way, probably the best television show made of the past 5 years. Agree or disagree? Discuss amongst yourself. We are what's it? Jeremy Allen White, right? That's his name. We must protect Jeremy Allen White at all costs. This is a Jeremy Allen White friendly safe zone here. Can't wait to see him in the Iron Claw. It's just making the movie already better. Just the fact that he's there. Anyway, moving on. Anyway, I can't believe I'm having this discussion. It's a discussion that I had years ago, doing stuff on Fightful, reviewing WWE here on the podcast. And here we are. And I'm bringing up this argumentation in regards to AEW. It kind of sucks. And now Tony Khan has basically decided to become combative with the audience, right? The audience that made AEW into what it was. Just in case, you're not plugged into all of the big haps. Let me break it down. No, I'm sorry. at the scrum, the press conference, whatever the fuck they call it now. He's promoting the Continental Classic, right? Oh, we'll be talking about that too. Don't worry. I want to stay on track here. And they've announced that there's 4 entrants so far. Where this is, it's November 21st. The tournament starts tomorrow on the 22nd. I'm recording this on the 21st of November. The tournament starts on the 22nd. We only know a third of the field so far. Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, Mark Briscoe, and Andrade El Idolo. So he's talking about it, and then he breaks into this, okay? I'm giving you the full quote for context. Are you ready? Tony Khan here. If people want to see a sports-based presentation in every match, there's 33 matches in the Continental Classic, so get ready. Strap in every Wednesday and Saturday. The same people who don't want to see any outside interference, I'm not bullshitting, I'm dead serious. You don't want to see any outside interference. If you want to see straight wrestling at its very best in a great field, then put your money where your fucking mouth is. End quote. He's saying this to the audience that flocked to AEW under this promise that he delivered. He and his business partners. Promises that they delivered, that they made themselves, not expectations formulated out of thin air by weirdos creating headcanon. No. Expectations coming from words, promises that were made during the highly successful grassroots campaign that they ran to make this this promotion come alive, talking directly to the fans, getting the fans excited. The outside press conferences, the hands-on interviews and everything that they were doing back then to create a connection with the audience, a connection that WWE no longer had with wrestling fans, was brilliant. A strategy that was brilliant based off of the success of BTE, the Bucks, Kenny Omega, and all those involved who saw their careers highlighted, improved because of them reaching out to fans, connecting with fans in different ways. They were doing this. Tony Khan goes to Busted Open in May of 2019, He says this, and I quote, "We're going to provide a serious sports-based product with the best wrestling. Something you're going to notice more and more in our shows is they're going to take place in and around the ring. Like, we're not going to go out of the arena. We're not going to spend half the show backstage in dressing rooms or backstage choreographed segments. And then at Double or Nothing 2019, wrestling fans have wanted and needed something different, authentic, and better for far too long. AEW is answering the call. AEW is more than wrestling. It's about a movement fueled by wrestling fans who have been underserved and perhaps even disappointed by what the industry has produced in recent years. I'm not making this shit up. This is not Reddit fanfic. This is Tony Khan. And he's sitting down at the press conference wearing the scarf from the family of Antonio Inoki that they gave him at Wrestle Dream. Antonio Inoki telling everyone, put your money where your mouth is. He's telling us, wrestling fans, here you go, you big babies. Show up or ship out. If you don't like my version of AEW, can hit the bricks. You want sports driven? We'll give you sports driven. Here you go. with Inoki's scarf around his neck. Talking down to the fans who were there from the start and believed them. I don't want to harp on how insulting it is, because it is. And there's a lot of people who wrote a lot of words have been flushed out of that. You know, I do believe this is a mask-off moment for Tony Khan. I think he might have slipped up. Maybe he went backstage after and he put his head into his hands and like, Jesus, I should have never said that. Should have kept that to myself. But this is AEW's me and my friend Mark moment, in your boy's opinion. You remember that famous Triple H line? Nothing like being combative. Nothing like taking it to your audience, right? I don't understand it. So, you know, I'm not gonna harp on that. It's insulting. It's insulting that he's pinning these problems, these criticism on our ungrateful ass when the reason fans have been driving away from AEW over the past months, that attendance has been shit, that ratings have not been great, is through creative decisions that he's been making. You can even go back to the start of this year. There is a tremendous difference to where we are today. And go up on Cage Match and take a look at the matches take a look at the cards that were being set up. You know what was that were being proposed, I should say, from the end of 2022 to into the start of 2020, if you read into Revolution. Go take a look at the cards, highlighted by the MJF Bryan Danielson feud, where Danielson was putting on dramatically good matches week after week, and the best of 7 trios series between the Elite and Death Triangle. And you're going to tell me that wasn't great? Great attendance, much better than what they're getting today. Very good ratings. Where are those fans? Why would you be combative again towards your core audience when in history, in pro wrestling history, has attacking your fan base been a good strategy, right? The me and my friend Mark situation is absolutely laughable when you take a look at, from that point on, how terrible WWE ratings became. They just constant downslope, only to have found resurgence like last year. It took what, like 7 years, 6 years for WWE to start seeing improvements ever since the me and my friend Mark line. And again, I asked it earlier, but what's wrong with wrestling fans? What's wrong with us? What's wrong with wrestling fans in general? Why is this the thing where eventually we just, no, we don't want you anymore? What's wrong with us? Why is this our fault? Why is it not the sports entertainment fans' fault for not coming in, gobbling up AEW, Tony Khan's new vision of AEW, the sports entertainment vision? Isn't that what you wanted? Where is everyone? Why is it not the sports entertainment fans? Wrestling fans have been with AEW from the start because they believed in it, because it was different, because it was an alternative, a great challenger brand, like Tony often referred to AEW as. Now, it's WWE Light. The thing that we wanted to move away from is seeping back in. I don't know what to tell you here. Wrestling fans don't like it. Sports entertainment fans aren't running to the door. They're not busting down doors to buy tickets. So who is this vision for? History has shown us that everyone who has tried to be a WWE-like has failed, from WCW to Dixie Carter's TNA to fucking Herb Abrams' UWF. You'd think that a guy like Tony Khan, a board guy, a message board guy, right? Mid-South Tony, who knows his history. Again, he is one of us. You'd think that he would have learned something from this history and would avoid making the same mistakes. But he's trying to be like WWE. He's hiring, old WWE cast-off acts and bringing them in, thinking that they're going to revitalize, carry people over with them. And nothing. It's the opposite that's happening. We're getting groans. We're getting grumbles. We're getting, I think I've seen this show before. I think I've seen these patterns before. He's running off the fan base that made the company in the first place, and he's trying to get people over who will never abandon WWE, who will never let go of WWE for this. And AEW has been selling more tickets, drawing more television viewers, and was doing while they were doing a good job at being different. That's when they were truly succeeding. I posited months ago when we were talking about the TV deal. Remember that? Remember when the big rumors about the AEW TV deal were on the cusp, with the upfronts and all, you remember that? And we were all saying, an AEW deal is going to be tremendous. And of course, again, I want to make sure that I'm clear here. I don't want AEW to fail. I don't want any wrestling promotion to fail. I want these places to thrive. I want more wrestling. More wrestling means more choice, or it's supposed to be. More choice, more places for wrestlers to work at, etc. But I posited this months ago. It's like, it would be good for AEW to get a big TV licensing deal because they wouldn't have to worry about filling out arenas as much or hitting, like regular revenue streams, because they would have this fucking guaranteed money. Right? It'd be good because it wouldn't be scraping for every pay-per-view buy, clawing desperately to make sure that they can that they can pay the wrestlers or whatever. I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. But I also wondered, and I still do today, how bad it would be for creative, what kind of impact it would have there. Because we have the example of another major league promotion who has its multi-$100 million deals, right? It's $1 billion deal. And they just do whatever the fuck they want, right? It's been their calling card for years. Just doesn't matter if the house shows aren't selling. Saudi Arabia is giving us $250 million to run one show, So I can't, if you recall, I was asking that very same question. I was wondering, hey, what kind of impact would a TV deal have on creative here in AEW? Now that because they don't have the urgency to fill out arena and so on and so on as bad, just to stay afloat because of the guaranteed money. And are we seeing this? Do we have signs that a deal is perhaps on its way and we're a lot more comfortable taking these types of directions and fuck the fans, we're getting the money anyway kind of thing, right? I don't know. I'm just putting that out there. Honestly, I have no insight, no sourcing, nothing. I'm just talking. We're just speculating here, just to make sure that we're clear. Could it be possible to think that, the brass at Warner Bros. Discovery are maybe talking with Tony Khan and saying, look, why can't you guys be more like these guys who are doing tremendous numbers? Oh, okay. If it means getting a deal, you know what I mean? I'll be curious to see how this shakes out, because I cannot shake that feeling that a potential TV deal, and maybe it's imminent on top of it, or maybe it's being threatened by the brass right now of it not happening. I don't know. But I can't help but feel that there's already what's the word I'm looking for? There's already it's already seeping into how AEW is presenting itself and how it wants to come across. If it has guaranteed money, there's a lot of things that it can just poo-poo, right? Just who gives a fuck? I got this big kind of money, Again, if only because we have years upon years of WWE in the same situation, having guaranteed money and just creating a chasm between wrestling fans and the product. And they don't give a shit. They never gave a shit. Bill Bodkin, nice to see you. It has been a while. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. So, all in all, Tony seems to have dropped the Continental Class. The Continental Classic, the C2. I like that abbreviation. He seems to have dropped the C2 as a bone, right? For wrestling fans, or as a proof of concept, right? You guys want pro wrestling? You better turn in, motherfuckers, kind of thing. And if the numbers don't go up, he'll point to that. Jimmy Jacobs will point to that. Pat Buck will point to that. Mike Mansory will point to that. Nobody is tuning in for the wrestling, Tony. They all say they want the wrestling, but then you give them the wrestling and they're not tuning in. So, Tony, we told you so. Vince used to do this. Vince used to do that. They won't blame the months of broken creative and loss of goodwill. They'll blame wrestling fans for not watching a wrestling show that reneged on its promises and that decided to get combative with them. I'm this close to hearing Tony Khan at some point telling us, just let us tell our stories. We tell stories, pal. I want to be clear. I really do want to be clear. All I ever wanted out of AEW, and I'm talking very personally, right? All I ever wanted out of AEW was something different than what WWE had been offering. And I'm not alone in this, right? This is not like, me saying I'm alone on this island. I'm the only one who wanted this. No. But personally, I'm not going to do a sweeping statement and say, all we wanted. No, what I wanted was something different than what WWE had been offering for 20 decades, feels like that sometimes, for 2 decades unopposed. AEW told us they would be that difference. They would be the challenger brand. And for a long time they were. And I cannot say that they've been that for months. AEW, still today, is the best North American Major League Pro Wrestling company in terms of overall work and depth of talent. I honestly don't believe that there's a roster in pro wrestling history that is as deep and diverse as the AEW roster in 2023. I sincerely believe that. But if I want sports entertainment, I know where to go. I go to the market leader. I'm not gonna watch the wannabes. And as it turns out, I'm beginning to believe, and a lot of people rang this bell, but I'm seeing it now. Like I feel like there's tangible proof of this. Proof? Please look. You can observe it. How about that? That all wrestling fans wanted, overall, the thing wrestling fans wanted was WWE, but without Vince. I think that's all people wanted. They wanted a Vince-less WWE. That's what we got now, right now. That's sure as hell what AEW feels like. And here's the thing between you and I. Now that Vince is technically gone, right? From creative, AEW doesn't even have that competitive advantage anymore. Like it's like in the minds of a lot of people, there is a Vince-less WWE now. It's WWE. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Just want to stay a little nuanced, and there's a lot of people who've been complaining and whatnot, and I agree. And I tried. Look, I know if you've been around and you've been listening to other podcasts, you've been reading articles, and I know there's a lot of stuff here that I'm not the first to say it, and I'm not the first to say it at all, actually. But I'm also, I hope I was able to bring like at least another perspective on it all. In the same vein where I don't like where AEW's headed right now, but maybe talking about other things. Thank you for being. We're gonna take a pause, just a little break here, and we're gonna get to the rest of the AEW Full Gear review, because we haven't even talked about one other match. But we got to talk about DGMC's very generous super chat. Thank you very much, DGMC. I appreciate it. Which brings on something mean about me, Bill Goldberg.
MrWarrenHayes has 52 nice things
mean.
to say about Goldberg.
I want to disappear. There we go. He's never been in a last-minute announced tournament because we all know he'd get gassed waiting to get seated. I beat you in fantasy football. Do a Goldberg article. What? No, there's no.
MrWarrenHayes has 52 nice things to say about Goldberg.
That's the last thing we're doing. Thank you for the very generous super chat, DGMC. I appreciate it. I appreciate it a great deal. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. Yeah, see, I kind of agree with you. I kind of agree with you, Bill. Like, he says, I think if they had a guaranteed deal, they'd book like they wanted to, which is classic WWE. AEW, you think? I don't know. What if I don't know. I'm not confident in that. Right now. I'm not confident that there's. I feel like those are going to be halcyon days. We're going to look back at 2022 and the start of 2023. We're going to look back at the pre-pandemic 2020. January, February. Those are tremendous moments in AEW history, right? We're going to look back at that and we're like, man, this is what it could have been. No, I know. Of course he's worried about ratings, and he's a numbers guy. We know this, for real. Like, we know he's a numbers guy. So of course he sees the ratings and he sees the fluctuations. He sees the things not performing so well, and he gets irked. He gets insecure, of course. No, I'm not doing a Goldberg article if you finish the fantasy football season with a better record than me. Everyone in the Fantasy Football League, the Mr. Warren Hayes Show Discord Fantasy Football League, is finishing with a better record than me. I told you all from the start, I have no idea what I'm doing, and I proved it. I have no idea how fantasy football works. No, it's funny because I just saw, Joseph's comment, a nerd telling geeks what to like. It's funny because, I was offhandedly accused, of being a gatekeeper when it comes to pro wrestling and, over the past, and, ties into the entitled old white man thing. So you're just gatekeeping, right? Well, how can it be, the boss of AEW essentially was gatekeeping there and was saying, look, come on, nerds. Come on, work rate nerds. Come and watch us, Come and watch us. Can you handle this? If you can't, well, bullshit on you. Anyway. I kind of want to change the vibe. I want to get into, look, Zach McGibbon congratulating my Montreal Alouettes. I don't follow the CFL at all, who won the Grey Cup. Do you guys know what the Grey Cup is? My American pals. The Grey Cup is the CFL's Super Bowl, right? Canadian Football League. And the Montreal Alouettes defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, I believe is the name. Right? It's the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this weekend. Now, here's something that I got a good check because I did not watch the Grey Cup, but one of my friends at work yesterday asked me, "Did you watch the Grey Cup?" I said, and he asked me jokingly because he knows, right? "Oh, you watched the Grey Cup?" I said, "Fuck no." I said, "What? Isn't it? What? And I told him, I said, "Well, aren't the Alouettes in it?" And then when Winnipeg, he said, "Yep, that's right." And I asked him who won. He said, "The Alouettes." All right, fantastic, good for Montreal, And and he says, but then he said, "Do you know who was at halftime?" I said, "I do not know who was at halftime." He says, "Listen, who's at the Super Bowl doing the halftime this year?" I said, "Usher." "That's right. What do you think about that?" I was like, "Well, nostalgia sells, I guess, right. But it's a bit, not a terribly big, rockin' superstar for," he says, "That's right. I agree with you." Now, who do you think did the halftime show at the Grey Cup? I don't know. Whoever's left in the Tragically Hip? Nope. A Blue Rodeo? Nope. I'm trotting off, Canadian band names, the Guess Who? No. It says Green Day. I'm like, what? What? The fucking Grey Cup lands Green Day? And the fucking the Super Bowl is getting Usher? I'm sorry. We won. We won this year. We won. What are we talking about? And I asked him, I said, "Did they do Basket Case?" He said, "Yep. They did 4 songs. One of them was Basket Case. It was the only real vintage one they did." So thank God they didn't do Welcome to Paradise, which is overwrought. I thought it was pretty fun. I was like, man, maybe I should watch next year. Sounds like the Grey Cup's a good time now. And the thing, I don't know if Joseph is aware, is making the joke, because I think it's a South Park joke, if I'm not mistaken. The Rough Riders versus the Rough Riders. And I think we've talked about it on the podcast at some point as well. But there was a time in the CFL where there were 2 teams named the Rough Riders. That's legitimate. That's a real thing. It was the Ottawa Rough Riders and the Halifax. No. Was it the Halifax? But there were 2. Gibby probably knows this. But there legitimately were Saskatchewan. That's right. It was the Saskatchewan Rough Riders and the Ottawa Rough Riders, right? And that was like there weren't memes at the time, but the closest thing that you could equate to a meme, let's say in 1989. That was hilarious. But it is a legit. There in the CFL, there were two teams that had the same team name. That's marketing at work there, folks. Okay, let's keep going here. Now, look, I'm doing things out of order. We started talking about the main event, and then we went off the deep end, talking about the state of AEW. So since I talked about something I didn't care about, how about I talk about something that I really fucking cared about? How about the Texas Death Match, where Swerve Strickland defeated Hangman Adam Page in an absolutely spectacular match? God. See, this is what pro wrestling should feel like. When, this is the thing, right? It's like when pro wrestling is good, it's great. And when it stinks, it's awful. It's like when it's good, it reaches these fucking highs. And when it's bad, it's just like, ugh, I stepped in something. And I loved how this match starts. Swerve has his entrance, and they have dancers out to do Nana's Swerve When I Drive moves, and he hits the ring. And even before Hangman's theme hits, Hangman is dashing down the ramp, and he's hitting the ring, and he's beating the shit out of Swerve out of nowhere. That, friends, is a blood feud. Now tell me that isn't a story right there. I get it. I'm not a fucking dope. You don't have to write it in the sky. I get it. These guys hate each other. And boy, our boy Page is in control here. And he's not wasting any time in bringing out the accoutrements. He's got the staple gun to staple some of his kids' finger paints to Swerve's fucking face. And Swerve is bleeding. He has a Crimson Mask of Legend, very high on the Muda scale, at the highest levels, if not breaking it a little, cracking it a little. I saw people saying, "Oh, this is Eddie Guerrero." Hang on, pump the brakes. Go back and watch the Eddie Guerrero match. We're not on that level, and I hope no one ever gets onto that level. But this was spectacular. This was awe-inspiring. This was you're taken aback. Probably like you, I watch a lot of pro wrestling, and I myself was like, oh Jesus fucking Christ, this is next level stuff here. And Swerve and Page, of course, he drinks the blood, and I just popped out of my seat. I just popped right out of my seat, and I was doing one of these, and I was going, ah! What is, and he's not like, he's not working it. He's got Swerve's head over his mouth. Page is lying on the mat, and he's dragging the head, and it's just dripping. And then he spews it out like he's fucking Triple H in a water bottle. It's tremendous. That was so, sick, but awesome. And I'm looking at and I'm like, look, you can weave whatever fucking Vince Russo story you want outside of the ring with any. Look at all the story beats I got here. I understood everything that was going on. I get it. They told me they didn't like each other. I bought it. Page said he wanted to put him in the ground and have his son piss on his grave. I was like, yeah, well, fuck. I bought into it. That was some sick shit, folks. Swerve is out of control. Later on, he's in control, I should say. He gets in control, and he starts stapling himself like he's lost it. He's lost his mind. He's gone bonkers bananas, and he's stapling himself. We get nothing but tremendous, violent, vile spots, impressive spots. The Death Valley driver on the cinder block, right? The pile driver on top of the railing. I don't think I've ever seen that in every. For as much pro wrestling as I have watched in my life on God's green flat earth, I don't think I have ever seen anyone do that spot. The Orihara moonsault with the barbed wire chair, the 450 splash on broken glass that was dumped on Hanger's back, the moonsault slam on the barbed wire board, the power bomb on the board, the dead eye on the board. Nana breaks up a 3 count after a barbed wire buckshot, then Brian Cage gets involved. And he eats shit. Nana eats a dead eye off the apron through a table. Even Nana's like, nah, I'm bumping here. I'm taking one here for the team. Then Swerve cracks a cinder block on Page's back and explodes. I like the cinder block. Ever since he used it on Keith Lee, I'm like, this fucking rules. This rules. And then he takes a chain and he hangs Page over the post, not unlike what Hangman Page did to Jon Moxley at their Texas Death Match just a few months ago, which was incredibly violent and brutal. I think this was sicker. This was true sicko shit. Page loses the 10 count. Swerve Strickland wins. Swerve Strickland in this feud is 2-0. Hangman Adam Page loses his first Texas Death Match. This was his match. We talked about it on the preview last week. How brilliant I thought. It's like, I hate you, I hate your guts, kids pissing on graves and whatnot. We're gonna make this a Texas Death Match. I'm like, this is perfect. If I were in Page's shoes, I would have done the same thing because this is my match. I've never lost, and it's my match. So I'm gonna have you eat shit. And he comes in and he's in control and he knows where the toys are, and he's just like, but no, Swerve got the win. This was brilliant. This, folks, is how you push a guy. This is how you start making a new top star in this circumstance right here. Because Swerve here, if you thought he got elevated at Page Strickland 1, he cemented himself here. He showed things. He brought something different. And you know what? This is exactly what I mean when I say the build is one thing, but the match is another. The build, I think we can say was 50-50, right? I think we liked it. There were certain things we didn't. It's like, the home invasion thing, and then trying to shoehorn that Adam Page really, took it personally that he invaded his home and did nothing. Swerve did nothing. The baby wasn't there. Who leaves the baby alone? It's like, anyway, we've talked about it. So the build was so, but then you get to the match. It's the match that matters. It's the match ultimately that matters. But the payoff, delivered in spades in one of the most brutal and violent and sick wrestling matches you will have seen put on by a major league promotion in a long, long while. This isn't Shinsuke Nakamura spitting red mist on Seth Rollins' face to pretend Seth got busted open. No. This was brutal, violent, sick. Put them in the same block in the C2. Put them in the same block in the C2. Let Page get his win over Swerve there. Right? And man, are they doing such a good job with Swerve or what? Like for everything that I spent 45 minutes bitching about, you turn over here and this is classic AEW. Like this is the shit that defines AEW, that makes it different from the other company. Look at how they're pushing them. They're making the star, as opposed to shoving them down our throats. They're making them. They're giving Swerve the spot. And what is Swerve doing? He is clasping onto it with dear life. He is going all out. He knows that he has to deliver, and he's delivering. He knows he's got something, and by this win here, by winning here, he's got something special on his hands. You know, I don't know what the follow-up here, but he's poised for big things. He's got the proverbial ball in his hands, right? If TK is ready to get behind him, of course, Swerve's got to run with it. Like whatever is presented, this vile, disgusting, maniac Swerve Strickland that we have has to absolutely run with whatever he's given. He's got to, as some people like to say, he's got to grab it by the throat, because he is this close to being a made man. He's defeated a guy who arguably should be the ace of the company, and arguably was the ace of the company and should still be. Remember when Adam Page was champion and people thought it stunk? Oh, it wasn't a great run. And people were like, he doesn't draw, yada, yada. Look at where we are now, folks. I say run it again. Give Page another go. Here's my path. I know you want a little instant of fantasy booking, but hear me out here, because I think there's something to this. Here's my path. Samoa Joe wins the title at World's End, loses it to Page next year. Then Page loses it to Swerve Strickland, who comes back around #1 contender. And you've got... Tell me an Adam Page Swerve Strickland 3 in the or 4 if we get the G1 match, C2 match, excuse me. Who cares? Tell me that a Swerve Page match with the title on the line wouldn't be just like the most boss main event they could put on. The story's already built in. You have two guys. If AEW does this right, they have a lifelong feud here. They have two guys who I believe viscerally hate each other. I believe it. We had, good-natured, well-liked, beloved former elementary school teacher, Hangman Adam Page, drinking another man's blood. That's how much he hates him. That's how visceral and profound their hatred for each other is. They didn't shake hands after. There wasn't like, hey, good work, pal. Swerve had to choke him out with a chain. He had to hang the Hangman to get the job done. I remember a time when Tony Khan wouldn't shy away from long-term storytelling where, you'd feel the story beats, you'd see things develop. Maybe it's still in there, TK. You've got gold on your hands right now. Why Hangman Page was left to languish for so long, despite him being the avatar of this company, is absurd. He needs to be pushed. I'm raving about Swerve, but Page is a guy, and Swerve is a guy. He's developed. I think that finally he's reaching a potential that I've seen in him. That again, I'm not unique in this. A lot of people saw. Maybe a lot of people were a little more maybe. But I've been on the Swerve train for a while. This showed me stuff I didn't even know he had in him. His mimics, his instincts, showing once again that he can navigate and operate a high-level match. Swerve Strickland, his ceiling is world champion. I've believed it for a long fucking time. Believed it back in NXT. How about that? With the Hit Row people. Like, this guy's a star. And they're treating him, they're making him into one. So now the tricky part is the follow-up. And we're going to keep an eye on this because then it all depends on Tony Khan's booking and what Swerve does with it. Because if Tony Khan sends him back to, well, we're going to finish off this feud with Keith Lee. You're like, what the fuck are we doing? You know? The hell are we doing? But then, if you turn around and you, and Tony Khan is like, all right, your next feud, I don't know, Jon Moxley. All right. It's go time again. You know, like it's go time. We're in Swerve Strickland's proving ground right now. I'm really excited to see what the future holds. Again, I feel he has all the tools. Now it's up to him. It's up to the boss to give him the push. And it's up to him to use all of these God-given tools that he has, these great, incredible tools that he has. The fact that he wrestles like no one else on the roster, this energy, this swagger that he has that no one else on the roster has, all these intangibles that no one else has. All of these tools that are at his disposition, if he can maximize them, he can put them to the use, he will be a top guy. And he should be a top guy. But it's up to him at this point. Tremendous match, 5 stars, right? I gave MJF and for those of you following at home, I gave MJF and Jay White a flat 3, or as we like to say, a gentleman's 3. But this was a 5-star match. It is a match of the year. It is something that will challenge your sensibilities. It is dramatic. It makes you feel something, you know? Makes you feel shit. Tremendous. What should we do? Let's run the card in order now. Yeah, hit that like button, jabrones. Thank you, Kristen. Let's go all the way back to the pre-show. Ring of Honor World Title match. Eddie Kingston defeated Jay Lethal. Good little match. You know, Jay Lethal's role in the company is very clear, right? It's fine. I don't think we're going to be seeing the Jay Lethal monster push anytime, and I think that's okay. I feel he's okay with it too. Good little match. I enjoyed it. Ortiz comes out to help Eddie. I can't look, I don't want to get petty, or do I? But we had all this Mike Santana stuff, right? Where, you know, he wants to be a singles guy and he doesn't get along with Ortiz anymore. And, he gets the singles match with Ortiz. They bury it on Dynamite, on Rampage. And, Mike Santana. Mike Santana is the surprise guy in the Anarchy in the Arena thing. But it's Ortiz here. Who's Ortiz, who just pops in and is like, hey, I'm still on TV. I'm still doing shit. They're putting me in an angle with Eddie. We haven't forgotten that storyline. I'm like, cool. I don't know. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Buddy Matthews. I thought this was very good for the pre-show. Super entertaining match. I mean, it didn't tear the house down. Didn't have to. I thought this was very good. The most tired, but also the greatest analysis that anyone puts out, like either on Twitter or in Discord. It's like, Claudio is so strong. Like it's the most obvious, analysis, and it's things that we've been saying for years at this point. But it goes to show how impressive Castagnoli is when he starts pulling off feats of strength, where even though this guy is a horse and an ox combined, you're still, your jaw still hits the ground where you're like, Jesus Christ. Yeah, good little match. Then then we had the Ring of Honor World Tag Team title match. We've discussed that. Let's move on to the main show that opened up with Adam Copeland, Darby Allin, and Sting defeating the patriarchy. Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne. The patriarchy. Brand new Tonytron on top of that, with the countdown and everything, but with adjectives describing Christian Cage, right? Inspirational, so on. And I'm dying. Look, again, listen to me. Christian Cage got to this point without the use of backstage vignettes, without going fishing out Captain Insano out of the sea, without, pretending, making bloomin' onion jokes, okay? He did everything like a pro wrestler. He did pro wrestling shit, and he got himself over like a bastard. He's one of the top acts in the company. He is a guy who has more than maximized the value of which Tony Khan is paying him. Christian is he's the standard for an quote unquote old guy being brought in, and how he can fuse with the company and find his own footing there. The best wrestler in the world. And here, his heel work in this match is tremendous. And we're not reinventing the wheel. This is the thing. He just does classic heel bullshit so well. And in this company now, where, there's so much sports entertaining bullshit that, this stuff that he does feels fresh. He gets into the ring with Adam Copeland, and what does he do? He takes a powder. He hits the bricks. He doesn't want to tag in. He tags someone in. And then when Copeland and he finally get like one-on-one and everyone's busy or taken out, Christian's like, fuck this shit. And he hits the bricks. He runs into the audience and he's like, adios. Yeah, he's doing the perfect chicken shit thing, and he's leaving his tag team, the rest of his team behind to lose. Adam Copeland gets the I don't know, the spear, and there's the coffin drop gimmick, and I remember when Tony Khan brought him in and he said, I'm signing one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, and everyone was like, okay, you're going a little hard here, pal. Well, I'd like to find anyone. I don't think there's anyone who. I don't want to say that. That's not right. There's probably people out there who don't like Christian Cage, and I don't understand them, because this is the very essence of it. It's hard to get better than what he's doing. He's spotless. He's pristine. He's good. He's calculated. He's smart. Everything he does. But a fun little match, not the barn burner you usually get. I gave this. How much did I give this? How much did I give this? No, that's Dynamite. 3.25. I thought it was a fun little match. And listen, look, I have no use for Ric Flair appearances, especially if they're going to have him get physical and make me feel embarrassed and cringe. And then watching him, throw punches. I have no use for it. And then him eating a low blow, then popping right back up after it's done. I have no use for this. Don't get me wrong. I understand the appeal, the historical significance of Ric Flair. I understand how how a Sting retirement tour needs to involve Ric Flair in some way, shape, or form. We've talked about this before. There would be no Sting without Ric Flair. I think that is an observable. That's an observable fact. You go back, you look at history, and Sting knows this, and Sting has always been very forthcoming and appreciative of of Ric Flair and what he did for his career. I don't want this. I really don't want this. I really have no use for it, and it made me uncomfortable. And I'm like, why am I watching this? Ric Flair is entering, late stage Kaiji Muto right now, where it's like, leave the memories alone. Don't go. There's no point in going out like this. This is embarrassing at this point. Obscurity Knox, nice to see you and welcome. Yeah, look, maybe the Black Scorpion will come out of retirement. Who knows? Then we had Orange Cassidy successfully defending the AEW International title against Jon Moxley. I thought this was very good. I'm very high on it. I thought this was a very solid match. Even though I don't think it was as good as their All Out match, which I thought was exceptional. I thought this was great nonetheless. And I don't think the right man won. And I think, and look, and you'd think this was going to happen, right? Because you think it's going to go Mox's way because he gets the advantage early on, but the work is good, the drama is solid, and Orange Cassidy locks in the Red Rum, the Taz mission, whatever you want to call it, because Hook is his pal, and Hook is there, and he showed him how to lock in a submission hold, and Hook is there, and he's going, "That's my boy," and I'm like, all right. And Mox lands a gotch pile driver, and it takes 6 orange punches to get Mox off his feet, which is fine because Orange Cassidy last Wednesday on Dynamite threw an orange punch at Mox, and Mox virtually no-sold it. So it took 6, beach break, he gets the win. I kind of feel like they should have done my idea. Which was strap the title to Mox, and let, like I said at the preview last week, I feel like we're due for one of these 3 or 4 act stories in pro wrestling where one guy tries to defeat the other guy and just always comes up short until that one time where he gets it right. I would have put the title back on Moxley. Then I would have told Orange Cassidy to stay home. Then you bring Orange Cassidy back in time for Revolution. Roof blows off the place. We haven't seen Cassidy in weeks. And he comes back and he's ready because he's been studying tape, because he's wrestled twice against Mox, so he's learned things, he's become smarter. And then finally, on the 3rd occasion, then he beats Jon Moxley. He overcomes his kryptonite. Because now the thing here is that I'm insecure about the follow-up for Orange Cassidy. Because after he beat Mox, after that great match at All Out, what happened? Do you remember what happened? I do. He turned around and he started hanging out with Hook and doing mid-card shit. I was like, well, wasn't he just elevated? Wasn't he elevated in defeat here? What are we doing here? Why are we making it so that Orange Cassidy looks like a goofball here, right? That's what I thought anyway. So yeah, but I know that the Phoenix thing and the injuries. Look, I know the plan was thrown for a loop when Mox got hurt, then Phoenix got hurt, then we put the time. I get it, okay. All the more reason to pivot from what you had planned originally for the story, and then, well, why don't we do this instead? So, Orange Cassidy's great reign as international champion in 2023 is one of the big stories of the year. It's one of the most impressive modern title reigns. Number of defenses. Yeah, he was defending every week, sometimes twice a week. I don't know what you do here as the follow-up, because we're still very close to that legendary run. I don't know what we do here. But we'll see. Look, but in a vacuum, I have 4 stars. I gave this match, right? Yeah. 4 stars. Tony Storm defeated Hikaru Shida to become Once again, AEW Women's World Champion. I don't know. I thought this kind of stunk. No one was into this. The crowd only reacted to the entrance and the shoe and the win. If this gimmick, I know I'm not the first person to ask this. If the timeless Tony gimmick is so over, why aren't people going bonkers throughout? Why aren't her quarter hours popping? Why isn't it drawing more? Where, oh, maybe she did in Los Angeles. Maybe that was part of it. Maybe that's why we got close to. But I mean, it's been a couple of weeks now of the timeless Tony stuff, and I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I don't know. I have very little thoughts about this. Sheeta, look, Tony wins with the thing in her tights and the hip attack. I guess that's part of her gimmick too. She stuffs shit in her, well, not actual shit, things, objects, fruit in her trunks. Here's the thing. It's like, look, here's the thing. I think this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. I know there's some people who absolutely loathe the Timeless Tony gimmick. It doesn't bother me all that much. I think she's very good at it, actually. I think a lesser human would make this a lot cheaper. It'd come across worse. But this is a circumstance where the gimmick gets in the way of the match. And then I can't support it. Now I'm like, nah, it's too much. This kind of stinks. All the pauses, and now it's kind of bullshit when they do that like that. Anyway, 1 year ago, Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter at Full Gear 2022 were tearing the house down. I just want to, because that's the thing. Is that, again, like, not unlike Max, Tony Storm is a tremendous pro wrestler. She's one of the absolute best women's wrestlers in North America. World. What are we doing? She's tearing that. Last year, she's with Jamie Hayter. They're putting on a classic. This year, it's like gobbledygook. After the Tony Storm Sheeta match, we go backstage to Renee, who is with Eddie Kingston. And Eddie is being interviewed about joining the field of the C2, the Continental Classic. And he tells Renee about how he plans to make the tournament even more prestigious by putting his quote-unquote his life's work on the line in it. He wants to defend the Ring of Honor World Championship and the strong openweight titles in every match he does. And since the winner of the tournament will be the first ever AEW Continental Champion, whoever wins the Continental Classic will become the Triple Crown Champion. And I'm like, excuse me? What? This is not insignificant. Triple crowning a title? Triple crowning some titles? And I'm like, so what does this mean? What are we doing here? So everyone is in accord with this? Like, we're going to do the AEW thing, and then New Japan is okay with this? And Ring of Honor is going to be without a world champion? I'm like, what? And I'm like, what's going on? Triple Crown, like in All Japan, like in case, there's history to this, in case you're not quite aware. All Japan, pro wrestling, of course, their championship is a Triple Crown. The merging of the NWA International Heavyweight Championship, the PWF Heavyweight Championship, and the NWA United National Champ, the UN title, right? To unify everything together. And it's still the Triple Crown title today, as it's called, right? But now it's only one belt. There's no, or are we talking about like the J Crown, right? Remember the J Crown with the juniors? The junior heavyweight titles. It was New Japan was behind this. They had the British Commonwealth Junior Heavyweight Championship. They had the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship, the NWA Welterweight Championship, the UWA Light Championship, the War International Junior Heavyweight Championship, the WWA World Junior Light Heavyweight, and the WWF Light Heavyweight Championship, right? And it was the Great Sasuke who won it, and then Ultimo Dragon, which led to that famous photo of Ultimo Dragon, you know, standing like a scarecrow with all the fucking belts all over him, right? So is this what we're doing? Is this it? Because it's fascinating to me, and it's confusing because there's no clarity. Of course, there's no clarity because Tony sort of threw this Continental Classic at us as a favor. So it's like he had no time to think about this. Just like, here, nerds. Did New Japan approve this? Is my question. Like, they likely had plans for the strong title. Is this all okay? Does this mean Eddie is winning? Does this mean Eddie is winning, or is he dropping both of his titles in the tournament? And there's a lot of confusion here. I don't know what to make of this. Last week I was talking about how, my wish list. This is what I wanted. And then on top of my list, I wanted the field to be announced before 8 p.m. on Dynamite. And they're going to do it. I was hoping, praying that during fucking Full Gear, we'd get graphics, Eddie Kingston is in the Continental Classic, and you have whatever, or they do a press conference like yesterday. Like, look, if you're going to do the round robin thing, and you're in a mood, you're in the mood to copy what other promotions are doing right now. Copy what New Japan is doing with the G1 and do the fucking press conference with everyone in suits and saying bullshit and do that. Bring in Block A, have them do that, then bring in Block B and let them do that. And it's shorter than in New Japan because New Japan has 4 blocks of 8. Now you have 2 blocks of 6. So it's in and out. It's an easy production. Fly everyone in. Who gives a shit? But now they're doing a live stream. I'm recording this on the Tuesday. They're doing this on the Wednesday. As I'm recording this, they just said that there was going to be a live stream to announce on Wednesday, but they didn't give a time. We don't know when this is happening. So by default, I'm getting what I wanted, getting the field before Dynamite at 8 p.m. But I would have liked to have it like right now so we could break it down and be like, oh, look at, do the sports thing. Do what we do with the G1. And I know some people are very, very low on this for multiple reasons, and they're calling it the dollar store G1, and that's fine. But I want to. It's hard for me to judge anything until we get a view of the field. What kind of matches are we going to get? I've been clamoring for AEW to do a round robin practically since the beginning of the company. So I want to see where they go with this. I want to see what the thing is going to be. You want the nerds to get involved, give us some nerd shit. Exactly. Thank you, chat. That's exactly it. And I mean, then, look, he could have done this 2 weeks ago. And then the promo just happens all by itself, right? Then writers, podcasters, people on X, formerly Twitter, everyone gets excited and starts talking about the promotion for the show. Then becomes automatic, natural. It just becomes, he doesn't have to pay a dime for this promo, is what I'm saying. because then everyone is breaking down the blocks, making predictions. The fun part of tournaments. Didn't have to get mad at us. But, 2 blocks, 6 guys, soccer league scoring system. 3 points for a win, 0 for a loss, 1 for a draw, as opposed to the G1, which is 2-0-1. We know Danielson, Kingston, Mark Briscoe, and Andrade are in this. Who else would I like in this? Who would be the 8 others? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Changed a little bit from last week when we were talking about it. Look, I want Swerve and Adam Page in it, and I want them in the same block. This is an instant main event for the night for their block match, and it's one that people will buzz about and people will tune in because you can see it coming because it's in the block. Everyone's going to fight each other, right? Swerve, Page in the same block. Let's just do it. Give Page his win back here. I want Claudio in this. I want Trent in this. I want Anthony Bowens, and I want Dan Garcia in this. Dan Garcia, I think, is a shoe-in. I think it's something that makes perfect sense. I think guys like Trent and Anthony Bowens, look, someone has to eat some L's here. But you're going to eat L's with guys who can go. And I think I am very high on Anthony Bowens. I think he has tremendous upside. And I would like to see him, fly on his own for a while here. Give me a second here. I just gotta control my dog here from tearing up her doggy bed. Apologies. Let's continue. I want Anthony Bowens to have a moment in the sun in this tournament. I want him to find his footing and show us what he can do on his own. Now that he has like the push coming with the Acclaim words. Let's see what he can do on his own. Let's see, because he's very talented. He's a much better wrestler than Max Caster. And Trent is very good. Trent can hang with any of these guys, but it's okay if Trent loses. And there's got to be guys like that. But I'd much rather, have a guy who can lose but who can also go, as opposed to a guy who can lose but can't go, like Yujiro in the fucking G1. And then you need some international flavor, right? You need you need a little sprinkle of unpredictability, of surprise here, right? Let's throw in Vikingo in this. You look at who I've booked here, Danielson, Kingston, who I've booked on top of Danielson. Swerve, Page, Trent, Garcia. Where's my high flyer? Where's the guy who's going to, bounce around everywhere? There you go. Bring in Vikingo. It'll be a nice little international flavor. We'll add some, because, the Tony's tournament here, I think, is going to need some international flavor to make it feel like it's a big deal, right? And someone from New Japan. But whom? Because if the tournament lasts till the 30th, and there's some guys who are going to be maybe not on the World Tag Tour, the World Tag League Tour, but are going to be in the final tour, the final stretch to Wrestle Kingdom, maybe we're going to have to, we're going to have to get someone like Satoshi Kojima, like Rocky Romero. I don't think anyone should expect Kazuchika Okada, or these guys are going to be resting. I don't think Gedo's going to send his big draws. I don't think he's going to send his big Wrestle Kingdom draws to this tournament. It would be great to have Okada get some, see, do you put him in the same block as Danielson? Probably not. But do you tease that they might fight each other in the league finals? Maybe. Of course, you keep them apart because it's Gedo's match. But, honestly, a Kojima, a Rocky Romero, I was trying to think of who you could bring in from CMLL maybe, but I think Vikingo is, Vikingo is well known now by AEW fans. I think it'd make sense. We'll see how right I am. Shibata. I mean, Shibata's an easy shoo-in, but, I'm with Joe and Rich. Shibata's not a New Japan Pro Wrestling guy anymore, He's not. Dax would be great, but he only works Saturdays now. He's a Collision guy. All right, let's keep this moving. AEW World Tag Team Title 4-Way Ladder Match. Big Bill and Ricky Starks retain against the Kings of the Black Throne, La Facción Ingobernable, and FTR. Look, I thought this was very good. I thought this was great, actually. This was my match of the night at this point. Everyone's going crazy about midway through. Like, you get a really good foundation to this match, and then all of a sudden bodies start flying everywhere. Crazy spots. Brody King hitting a Gonzo bomb on Dralistico on a ladder bridge. Malachi Black does this great slingshot ladder spot, leans a ladder on the top rope and just slings. Fantastic. Cash Wheeler splashes Brody through a ladder. Ricky Starks gets through the entire match without bumping. Everyone busted their asses. This match over-delivered. I wasn't excited about this match throughout its announcement, and especially when they turned it into a ladder match, but I feel like AEW's dialing back on the ladder matches. It's not that I don't like ladder matches. There's ladder matches all the time. They've lost their fun. They've lost their appeal. I'm not excited about ladder matches anymore. But this is one I really enjoyed. This is one I really, really enjoyed. Good stuff. Really good. I gave this, what did I give this? 4 1/4. No, yeah, 4 1/4. I thought this was tremendous. Match of the night so far. The Boss, Julia Hart, defeated Chris Statlander and Sky Blue to become the new AEW TBS champion. Listen, hey, Justin Firestein, nice to see you. Welcome to the chat. Julia Hart. No, sorry, not Julia. Sky Blue. She stomped her hat. She stomped it. She took it. No, I don't even think she had it in her hand. She had it in her hands. She put it down. She lifted her foot and she stomped it into the ground. And then she pulled out a crown and she put it on her head. She's no longer fun. She's serious and all business now. Cora Jade now has complete free reign to wear her hat backwards now. The controversy's done. We no longer have to argue. They're going to keep trying and trying and trying with Sky Blue, right? Until something sticks. Right? They're just going to keep on trying. This was fine. If solid work, if unspectacular work. As I expected, Chris Statlander generaled this match as she should have, and I think she did a very good job with these two rookies, nonetheless. I think honestly, I don't think Statlander is getting enough love, appreciation out of and I'm not calling this a carry job by any stretch, but she did guide these women through this match, which is her job, right? That's what she should do. And Julia, picked up a sneaky win after Chris Statlander lands the Saturday Night Fever. And then Julia is like, nope. And she clocks her and then steals the win. I have no problems with this finish. I have no problems with Julia Hart winning. I wanted Julia Hart to win. I'll rehash my point from last week, but because repetition, right? Julia Hart, if things keep progressing the way they are, she will eventually get the flowers as being one of AEW's true success stories, like real homegrown success stories, like the Acclaimed, right? I think someone who came in, handful of pro wrestling matches, her background is gymnastics. Oh, you don't say, Sherlock. Holy shit, I couldn't tell. And she's put in this, she does the cheerleading thing, and then she's put into the House of Black, and she gets herself over. There's no other way to put, like, you could have put this, honestly, I want you to think about this for a second. Let's say Sky Blue would have got the Julia Hart gimmick. I don't think Sky Blue could have gotten herself over. Right? This is all on Julia putting in the work, understanding she's got an affinity for pro wrestling. She's not a finished product, but she's not doing too much. She's doing things in her wheelhouse. And I think this is someone that we are going to see progress and grow before our eyes. I don't know what her ceiling is yet, but the star power that she's already projecting, getting an audience into believing her, into getting into what she's doing, in this, and I mean, let's be honest, the packaging being, this diminutive blonde little lady amongst these hulking, towering masses of spooky tattooed men's that are the House of Black. Like, all of the packaging worked, right? It all came together. But Hart brought her own to this. She brought herself to the table, because you would put this on any other stiff, and it would have been okay. Well, it would the Julia Hart gimmick on anyone else would not be working as successfully, and I really do believe that. Tremendous. So she's over with the crowd. She does very good work. She's solid. She's consistent. She's entertaining. I mean, look, Sky Blue was there to take the pin, and that's fine. I think right now that's fantastic use for Sky Blue. Fine little match. I gave it the gentleman's 3. And then we get the Will Ospreay signing. Looks like AEW still has something to offer that WWE doesn't. Everyone keeps saying, the money. WWE can throw all the money they want. And AEW can as well. People seem to forget that the cons are NFL. They have NFL money. They have European Euro League money. Lots of speculation coming into this. I was talking, and I said it last week. This speculation going on. I think we talked about it on the Dynamite review. It had to be Will. Like, it was hard to imagine anyone else. I ruffled some feathers when I said, Mercedes Moné would be a little bit of a disappointment. In the context is what I meant. Mercedes Moné will never be a disappointment. I didn't say she would be I said in the context, right? In the context of where we were, where Will Ospreay, greatest pro wrestler alive right now, free agent, his contract status being, daily news. Pay $5, come hear about. Pay me $5, come hear about Will Ospreay's contract status, right? That type level of news. In this context, where you have the biggest free agent in years in pro wrestling available, a bidding war going on between AEW and WWE. All I'm saying is you're promoting a big signing with one of the biggest pro wrestlers on the planet, one of the most talented pro wrestlers, and it's Mercedes Moné. All I'm saying is that it would have been a fantastic signing, but a little disappointing in the context, because we're all expecting Will, because we're all like, it has to be Will. It has to be Will. It's the biggest signing that you could make right now. Now that Will is signed, the biggest signing AEW can make, or WWE, is Mercedes Moné. See how that goes? So it's not that signing her would be a disappointment. In the context, it's disappointing. In the context, it would have been disappointing. But anyway, we're talking about hypotheticals, and now the situation has already happened. It's Will Ospreay. Yeah, I mean, here, look, you can keep telling me WWE has the money, they want the money. It still seems as though AEW has something to offer that WWE cannot. Now, is it just as simple as, Will, if you come with us, you're going to main event Wembley next year, 80,000 people. And Will Ospreay says, yeah, fuck yeah, yes. Yes, I'm doing that. I'll be one of a very small handful of British wrestlers to have done that, Absolutely, I'm doing this, Could be. As a fan, gotta tell you, I'm relieved. I've been trying to stay as objective as I could moving forward, over the past couple of weeks, and not, trying to let my ass show too much. But as a fan, I'm terribly relieved, because if you had gone to WWE, then the Will Ospreay we knew would effectively be gone. We would never seen him again. But I'll tell you, the minute I started to sincerely believe that he was not going to WWE, there was one thing that happened. I was like, okay, it's not happening. It's when he quote tweeted something Seth Rollins tweeted out, and Will quote tweeted with the eyeballs emoji, right? Something to that. I don't remember what it was exactly. I was like, well, there you go. He's not going. Because if there's one thing, negotiating with WWE, that you shut down all communications. You don't say a fucking word. I think that's part of the deal. So I was like, I think he's staying. He's not saying, I think he's not signing with WWE. I mean, he could have re-signed with New Japan. I would have been surprised. He's going to make some great money here. Nice little, look, flew him in for the event, for the buzz, for Tony Khan to flex his W over WWE. Like, we won this bidding war, another bidding war won, Jay White being the previous one. We won this one, and it was a big one, because yeah, WWE was interested. And as far as I understand, Will was entertaining offers. He wasn't closed to the idea. And now the thing here, maybe one thing that helped him move towards AEW, favoring AEW, is that, now Will maybe can, he can continue going to wrestle occasionally in Rev Pro. If the relationship with New Japan holds up, they can continue, he can continue wrestling there, wrestling New Japan guys. Like, we're not closing any doors, whereas WWE is like, no, we're done, caged. The outside world does not exist anymore, right? So, like I said, it looks like AEW still has things to offer here. And boy, let me tell you a thing. Let me tell you a thing. You can leave it up to Will Ospreay here to kick a show into gear, right? Because that got excited. That got us excited, and that led us into the Texas Death Match. From this point on, it was all business. It was the business end of the show. Do you think, like, in retrospect now, you know how, you know, not foresight, backsight, whatever, being 2020. My idioms are all fucked up tonight. Now it kind of makes sense that Tony Khan wanted to rush the Wembley announcement even more. Hindsight, yes, thank you, Justin. Right? Doesn't it kind of make sense now that he wanted to rush through the Wembley announcement, the All Out 2024 announcement, where we were all there going, a sign up form for tickets? What the fuck are we talking about? Now you've got Will Ospreay here, and now he's going to be like, hey, the holidays are coming. Will Ospreay is going to be there because AEW signed him. We locked him down. We had this bird in play here that we didn't see. So I guess it explains it, you know? And I still also believe Tony wanted to get ahead of WWE. I think that's also part of it. He wanted to get ahead of WWE in their European moves. And the last match that we have to talk about is the World Tag Team #1 contendership match, where the Golden Jets, Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, defeated the Young Bucks. A surprise. I was surprised by the outcome, but I really like this match. And, you know, it's like piss break. Everyone was saying, this is not a piss break match, and the guys didn't wrestle like this was a piss break match either. This wasn't the match you went off to get the chicken tenders. I'll tell you what. This was a very good match. We got a tremendous match. And I know, it is so fashionable to, to hate on Chris Jericho, get him off my TV, he only looks after himself, blah, blah, blah. But this man is working as hard as anyone 10, 20 years younger than him right now. This match here, his match with Takeshita at the DDT show the weekend previous to that, he's working hard. Like, he's got his boots on, going hard in these matches. Shit that you're like, at 52 years old or whatever, Chris Jericho. I'm not talking like fucking, I don't know, Maven, you know, was like, oh, I got something to prove. It's like Chris Jericho has nothing left to prove to us. He could just decide to mail this shit in. He's about, 10 years younger than Sting, when you think about it. When you think about it that way. And he's going hard. And in this match, you have some great storytelling regarding friendships and mistrust, you know, and it's not being, and trust, you know, friendships and trust being eroded away, and it's not being hammered over the head with us with, you know, Chinese food is so spicy jokes. Interesting. And it's just as compelling, if not a little more, you know, and you have a moment in the match. I mean, look, you're always going to get this level of you know, storytelling when it comes to the elite guys, Kenny Omega and the Bucks, you know, where you have both Jericho and Nick Jackson leaning over the ropes, right? Like in position for V triggers, right? And Kenny's like, oh, man, you know, and he's doing the finger gun, and you think he's going to go at Jericho. He bounces off the rope, heads towards Jericho, but to bounce off the ropes to give a V trigger to Nick. Because in his mind, it's like we're competing, we're wrestling, we're friends. But the Bucks didn't take it like that after, right? Kenny Omega wins with the one-winged angel on Matt. And then the tantrum again. Look, pissy, petty Young Bucks are the best Young Bucks. These are the Young Bucks you signed up for. And give them to me anytime over their watered down, milquetoast, babyface stuff where you can always tell Matt is just itching to be a little shit. He just wants to be a little priss, every single time. And I love it. So we're going back to that, and they're back to trolling people online, even though it's not through their accounts, and whatnot. They have Brandon Cutler doing the sources have told me, Brandon Cutler, right? Sources have informed me that according to the Matt and Nick Jackson camp, that they're going to be taking some time off. Please respect them in their time of privacy or what the fuck. And I'm like, the camp. These guys are so fucking good at what they do. They are prime trolls, and they know what they're doing. They know they're pissing people off, and they love, it's vintage Young Bucks when they do this shit. And they're not taking time off. They might take a week or two, but next thing you know, they'll show up and they'll cost, Kenny and Jericho now have a world tag team match, and they're going to fuck it up for them. And I think this is what I like about the Bucks. This is the kind of shit that I really, really get excited about. And then they become asshats. I love it. I don't watch BTE anymore, but I heard that, and we were talking about it in the chat, that the Bucks are saying that BTE is going to be on hiatus. I'll believe it when it happens, and we'll see how long. And if it does, let's see how long this fucking hiatus happens. But they know how to play people like a fiddle. They're workers. They're a dying breed, these two. And people get mad because they're getting worked. I think we've been through everything on this show. That was Full Gear 2023. Don't think I'm forgetting anything. Like I said, a good wrestling show. I don't think it's one of AEW's best. It's absolutely not. It's not even in the top 5 AEW pay-per-views this year. It's not even in the top 5 of 2023. But it's not the worst. And, I think as long as the shows stay good, people will tune in to the pay-per-views, and look, we'll see what happens with TV and whatnot. But now we're going to wrap this up with a bit of an expedited preview of WWE Survivor Series War Games 2023. They're trying to get Adam Pearce to do the thing, right? I mean, didn't they hire back William Regal? He's right fucking there. I don't know. Little refreshment break there. So we have Carlito taking on Santos Escobar. So this all stemmed from Rey Mysterio losing the LWO, losing the the U.S. title at the Saudi show to Logan Paul, right? Carlito said that Escobar had left brass knuckles at the ring. He wanted Ray to use them, but instead Logan used them, and whatever the fuck. And and then Escobar took offense to this, and then he injured Mysterio, and driving the knee into steel steps. Mysterio actually needs some time off for is it surgery? He needs to heal an injury anyway on his knee. And then the following week, Escobar attacked his two dudes, Cruz del Toro and Joaquin Wild. And then Carlito came in and look, this is all leading to this match here where Carlito Cool and Escobar are going to wrestle here. If you watched Lucha Underground and you are familiar with King Cuerno, right? He's tremendous, and look, if there's a guy who deserves to get a push, it's this guy. And Carlito, well, yeah, look, how old is he? Let's take a look here. 44 years old. So he's not the oldest guy, but he's right up there with WWE main eventers. You bring him in, you put some guys over. What's the value in a 44-year-old Carlito? But look, Santos is 39, so like, what am I talking about, right? Put over the fresher star? I don't know. Is this going to be good? I don't know. I have no idea. Look, I haven't really seen Carlito wrestle all that much recently, and I don't know how competent he is. Santos is very good. Santos wins, right? Rhea Ripley takes on Zoe Stark. So Zoe Stark won a fatal 5-way match at the Saudi show, I believe. And then she won, and then she faced Rhea. Hang on. I think Rhea Ripley. Okay, hang on a second. It wasn't a fatal. It was a 5-way match, and Rhea was in the match, right? Now I'm remembering this correctly, because you guys know, we don't cover the Crown Jewel stuff here. I don't watch it. So, but you read up and you stay abreast of things, at least for the results. So 5-way match. Rhea wins there. Zoe Stark was in the match. Zoe then wins a battle royal on an episode of Raw to become the number 1 contender. And then we have this one-on-one here. Who cares about how we got to this point? The point is that Zoe Stark is one of the more complete women's wrestlers that they've had in the company for a while. I think she's tremendous. I think she's very good. She was a standout in NXT. She came in just before they started the 2.0 bullshit. And if you want to erase the Io Shirai, Zoe Stark eating sushi nonsense, I've erased that from my memory. You only have good things to think about when it comes to Zoe Stark. She's tremendous. She's a very, very good pro wrestler. Rhea has all the skills and the talent as well. I think this is a combination that can play off of each other very, very well. How will Zoe play on a bigger stage like the one on the Survivor Series in a singles match? I mean, they're throwing her a bit into the deep end here. I don't think I don't know if her being, Trish Stratus's lackey for the better part of the year was good for her. But if they let her wrestle, she just might get herself over. She'd probably, but this is WWE, right? She would probably get herself over easier if she had, a sing-along catchphrase or a theme that people could do this to, or sing along to, But no, she's just Zoe Stark, so I don't think she's winning. I don't think they have faith in her. They have tons of faith in Rhea. And I think that's fine too. I mean, Rhea's tremendous. Gunther will be putting the IC title on the line against The Miz. This is getting memed to hell and back, as it should. Because it's Mike the Miz Mizanin fighting Gunther. We're like, what are these are the kinds of matches that I'm relieved that Will Ospreay is avoiding. Will Ospreay versus The Miz, Will Ospreay versus Baron Corbin. Gunther versus The Miz has no interest in me whatsoever. Yeah, if I'm booking this, Gunther wipes him out. And it's a no contest kind of situation where he just demolishes him. Let's do Brock Cena, but with The Miz, right? Because the story here is, right, it's one of these things where Gunther was supposed to be a guest on Miz TV and he didn't show up, and then The Miz got, pissy, and then Gunther finally came out, and Gunther stayed, he said, I don't respect you. You're an entertainer, not a serious wrestler. And he's not wrong. Who's the heel here? And, The Miz goes on about his accomplishments. And now he made the IC title prestigious. And The Miz had a tremendous run with the IC title. Don't get me wrong. But, let's not overshoot The Miz and his accomplishments and his contributions to pro wrestling, right? He's going to be a WWE Hall of Famer, and he's a lifer there, and he's happy, and he's fine, and he's going to be treated like a fucking legend by the fans. While this is another guy, people will eventually start saying, because this is going to be the narrative, is that all these great matches he had and all the great moments he provided. This is what's coming for him. This is inevitable, right? And people are all going to go, that's right. Well, this is a guy who, name me a great Mike the Miz match. And I mean a great one. A great one. One that's, you're like, blew the socks off. That's not who he is. He's not a worker. And this is the joke here, right? This is the joke. Putting Miz in a situation where he's over his head. So Gunther should come in and prove that he's over his head. No, come on. Shane Snoop, that's not a great match. I'm sorry. It's not a great match. It's entertaining. But that is not we're not talking like a 4.5 star classic here. This is what I'm talking about. A great match. Anyway, that's how I book it, right? That's how I do it. Gunther just demolishes him, but that's probably not what's going to happen, right? Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Shotzi, and Becky Lynch will be taking on the Damage Control group of Bayley, Asuka, Io Shirai, Sky, and the newly returned Kairi Sane. Now we have to go back to calling her Kairi Sane. So there's 8 women here, but there's 10 people in the men's, right? Okay. And isn't there a gimmick with Ruffles chips? What's the gimmick? You're not picking the combinations of women. No, you're You're voting for who gets the advantage. Oh, right. That's right. You're voting to get who gets the advantage in the, what team gets the advantage. Yeah. Sponsored by Ruffles. Yeah, of course Shotzi's there to take the pin. What are we doing here? It ain't Becky. It ain't Charlotte. It ain't Bianca. You think finally they're going to get serious about damage control? I don't know who can still be excited about this concept of damage control. I'm sorry. I don't understand who gets excited about damage control. They brought them back. They introduced them to much fanfare at SummerSlam last year, right? Much fanfare. I'm like, oh, this is fucking rule. This fucking rules. This is great. And then they geeked them out. They geeked them out for the better part of 9 months. Better part of a year. You know, they do the tournament thing for the women's titles, right? And they're in the finals, and who wins? Fucking Raquel and Liv. No, Raquel and Aaliyah. Jesus Christ, it's even worse. And then they drop them like the next week or the week after. They drop them right back to the damage control to Dakota Kai and Io Shirai. Like that like 2 weeks after they course correct, they're like, well, maybe this wasn't a good idea. Raquel and Aaliyah. You know, this fucking company, right? Anyway. It's a lot of bullshit. And I mean, this is another thing where I don't know why anyone is invested in, you know, this brand split, right? Because aren't most of damage control, like look, I know the baby faces here ended up picking Becky Lynch, who's from Raw, to be on their side. Like, I don't understand this. Like, I don't know who still thinks the brand split is a thing. I think that, we're at a point where it's kind of, I don't know who gets excited and is like, okay, let's do a mock draft. Like, who cares? Like, nothing matters in this company. And nothing has mattered for so long. Right, and Kevin Owens can't be in the men's because he's on SmackDown, right? But then the women, they pick Becky Lynch from Raw. Like, I don't get it. It's tiresome. It's annoying. You know, whenever I see people go, jump up into the air and they're like, yeah, fuck yeah. Nick Nutter, nice to see you and welcome. Anyway, I think I'm hoping, I'm assuming that the heels are going to win here, right? You just reinvigorated damage control, Io is a champion, and Asuka turned on her partners and joined damage control. She's back, so, we've got Kyrie and Asuka in there as well, and Bailey. It feels dynamic, it feels fresh, it feels like they have momentum, but they could flip this all around and say, no, Charlotte gets the win, lol. It's fucking nonsense. It could happen. And then the men's War Games match, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, main event, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and the returning Randy Orton will be taking on the Judgment Day and Drew McIntyre, who Drew McIntyre is a loose affiliation. He's a franchise. Stuff is gonna happen, and the They're going to try and convince us that Dominic has had a great performance here. And I am so not invested in this. It's ridiculous. I'm sure that WWE fans look at this and they're like, yeah, okay, this is actually cool because such and such reason. But it's like, I see there's nothing here that gets me going. There's nothing that gets me excited. I am glad to see a healthy Randy Orton return. He's been out since 2022. We'll see how bad his back is, right? In regards to what he's going to do, but that's good that he's coming back, right? It's good. I'm glad that the injury is not ending his career, is the point. And that's okay. Despite the fact that, I am firmly entrenched in the camp of Randy Orton is one of the most boring, overrated wrestlers of all time. But doesn't mean I want ill will on him, and I'm glad that he's making his return. And I'm sure, again, the WWE fans are going to be really, really excited. They're going to pop huge for his voices in his head. And I completely and 100% expect him to fuck on Cody Rhodes, and that Cody Rhodes and Randall Orton will be a nice little program to lead us into the Royal Rumble, keeping Cody busy, another guy to beat on the road to Cody finishing the story. That makes sense? You think Randy's not going to pull some bullshit here? Come on now. Come on now. Now that Riddle is gone, there's no reason to keep Randy Orton a babyface. Shinsuke Nakamura has been teasing fighting someone, right, at Survivor Series. I think we are led to believe that it will be CM Punk. Do we believe it will be CM Punk, right? Because didn't Shinsuke do a terribly half-assed go to sleep on Ricochet a couple of weeks ago, right? Like we're supposed to assume that it's CM Punk. Look, let him go. Like if it is CM Punk, I will not even remotely be mad. I'm gonna laugh all the way home. He's gonna be the king of the hypocrites. I'm gonna have a lot to say, and I'm gonna be happy. This business is much more interesting with CM Punk in it. Trust me. It's going to give me some great material to talk about next week. I think it's going to be Brock. And people are going to pop crazy nonetheless. And he's going to destroy Shinsuke like he destroyed him back in 2002, 2001. Can't quite remember. In New Japan. And it's going to be hilarious. And everyone telling me, oh yeah, Shinsuke's back, brother. Shinsuke's back. They're treating him right now. Yeah, okay. They're serving up Shinsuke to whoever's making a big return. Yeah, that's taking good care of him. Yeah, things have certainly turned the corner. I'm sure. Oh yes, they are making a great case for Kazuchika Okada. Old Kazu's going to be looking at this and be like, yes, very interesting. I am very compelled to join your World Wrestling Entertainment organization. Fuck off. I mean, look, Brock is going to be great. Honestly, I hope it's Brock. I think WWE's better with Brock. I really do. And look, we have a couple of pay-per-view, with Royal Rumbles coming up. Brock is going to do the WrestleMania bullshit, so might as well start him off with a program, and he'll do a little thing with Shinsuke in the meantime. Shinsuke will try to get his win back, and Brock will be like, I'm not jobbing to this guy, brother. I been crushing this Punk all my life. What do Either way, I think it's a win-win. I think it's a win, regardless. CM Punk returns. Everyone loses their shit, and I couldn't care less. And Tony Khan's going to get gotten to, and Punk is going to be WWE's problem, and who cares? It's going to be great, and I'm going to have some thoughts, and it's going to be tremendous. But if it's Brock, WWE is objectively better with Brock on the card. He is objectively better. So I either scenario, you know who wins? We do. Let's just wrap this up at Weekly Wrestling Inspection. We're done. That's right, Brock is a draw. It's hard to contest that. Hey, what a show we had. 2 subjects, and I was able to fill up all this time. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Just a quick reminder, programming note, the Mr. Warren Hayes show will not take place will not be recorded live, I should say, next Tuesday. Be sure to follow me on Blue Sky or to follow the community tab here on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes to make sure you don't miss out on the live recording. Might be next Sunday, might be next Monday. I'll keep you posted, but it will not be next Tuesday. So be sure that you make a note of that. Otherwise, leave a like on this video if you're watching it on YouTube. Leave a review if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or a 5-star rating on Spotify to help grow the podcast in all these different ways. I will be back Thursday for the Dynamite review, back Saturday with a brand new Collision review, Sunday, with a brand new Collision review. Yeah, that's how it's going for now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me live tonight, for being a part of this great endeavor that I call the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. And thank you for the members and your continued support. Thank you for everyone who shows up and shows support. Support the Mr. Warren Hayes Show. Have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.